Freedom 97.1 and 1120 AM WSME, Camp Lejeune, Jacksonville, and worldwide at WSME971.com.
You are listening to Sports Talk with Chris Rayner on Freedom 97.1, 1120 AM WSME.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to Y'all ready for this?
Hey, good morning. Welcome to Sports Talk. I'm your host, Chris Rayner. I had on my flap hat in the truck. I started wearing it in and put it up like Cousin Eddie. I'd be Cousin Eddie, and Cuz today. I want to welcome our guest today, Tony Marshburn.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us, man.
Great to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
I had been wanting to get you on since you were inducted in the Hall of Fame, but I wasn't sure if you were done with your speech yet. So I want to make sure you had plenty of time to finish that up. And now we got you on the show. It's going to be a good time today.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Before we get going, I want to thank our sponsors. It's cold. Support these sponsors, man. Make sure you're getting out in the community when you can. Hopefully the winter weather won't be too bad. We do have a winter weather advisory for tomorrow. I've noticed the roads have been salted already, which that's usually the sign that we'll get nothing. But they have to take the precautions. So we'll see how it goes. I want to thank our sponsors, National Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram, Onslow County Motor Company, Fountain Management, Miss Sandra Fountain, Bartley Insurance Services, Bill Mercer, Humphrey Heating and Air Conditioning, Lane Associates Family Dentistry, Doctors Tommy and Kim Morgan. Want to give a shout out to that family. They lost their father, Ken Morgan, who meant so much to Onslow County sports, Jacksonville, all the area. We're going to talk a little bit more about him later. That's just a loss for the community right there.
Absolutely.
And our thoughts and prayers are with that family, definitely, as they go through this time. Jones Onslow EMC, your Touchstone Energy Cooperative, Southern Touch Painting, and Barnes Diamond Gallery. Also want to thank Helen's Kitchen and Billy Grissom. We got some good stuff coming, man.
Right on.
It's magic in a bowl. It's called Billy Bowls. It's sausage, egg, cheese, and grits.
Oh, can't wait.
Yeah, so we won't feed you till after you finish the show, though, because we want to make sure that you don't, back out on us or anything. All right, we got a Hurricane Watch coming up, too. It's powered by Downey's Heating and Air Conditioning. Jason Humphrey and the gang. You got any Hurricanes games?
I haven't.
You've never been to a Hurricanes hockey game?
I've been to one or two, but it's been years ago.
Oh, well, it's a different atmosphere now. They're winning now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and, of course, they won the Stanley Cup, way back, but they're consistently winning now. So it's a good time to go. We'll talk about what they're doing when that time comes up. Okay. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel and watch the show and previous shows at YouTube at WSME Radio. We're live across the world, people all over the world watching us. And I know we got a lot of people tuning in today for this show. You can also catch the show on our Facebook page at Freedom 97.1 WSME. You can find all your favorite on-demand sports talk podcasts and stream the station live at our website at WSME971.com. Now, you can also find that one you did years ago. What was it, 2020?
It was January 3rd, 2020.
On here with Coach Padgett, and right before the plague shut the world down.
Yeah.
Man, if people knew now what they knew then, just totally shutting everything down for 30 days did nothing, probably. I'm not sure if it helped at all. I think people got it when they got it. It's just one of them things. Did you ever have it?
Never got it.
Never got it.
Never got it.
You're a lucky man.
I don't know why, but I just,
all them healthy antibodies you got there.
I don't know about that.
Well, let's jump right in.
Okay.
One of our most recent inductees into the Jacksonville Onslow Sports Commission Hall of Fame. Oh, before I go any further, let me mention this real quick. Jacksonville Sports Commission had an event this weekend that was planned. Hey, it probably ain't gonna happen. Running in this weather like this, they sent me a text and tell us a little bit about, first of all, well, I'll be trying to find it, but we'll get back to that in a minute. What did it feel like being up on that stage?
Well, Chris, I was nervous. I don't know if I looked nervous up there, but I was extremely nervous, and here's the thing. I was so used to so many years. I was used to, I coached for 35, 36 years, and I could stand in front of my players, and never get nervous. I just felt like, it just felt normal to me, but, public speaking and first of all, I was so grateful and humbled to be honored to the Jacksonville Sports Commission Hall of Fame. It was, I still get chills over just being inducted, and I was nervous, and I didn't realize at the time I was really talking that long, and I
You
guess
really
it just
weren't that long.
yeah, it seemed, but it was just one of those things that I just once I got started, I just kept going, and I got off script a couple times, and kind of threw me off, and even though I had everything on paper,
Yeah.
that I'd scripted out,
Then you start flooding in your mind. Don't
look, I mean, just stories kept popping up, and of course, it kept going on and on, and I apologize, to Scott. I go, Scott, man, you should have just got a chair instead of standing the whole time, Scott Smith.
Oh, he was over there like the guard. Was he giving you signals on how much time he had left?
The thing about it was nobody was giving me any signals.
No. Well, they were, but you just didn't see them. Now,
Yeah.
if you like going off script and prefer more of a spontaneous thing, you're in the right place here, buddy.
Right on.
My preparation ain't the best in the world, but I love to talk to people. And most times,
Yeah.
it's like Stevie or Eddie Murphy said about Stevie Wonder. You let him get a roll going, he'll talk your ears off. So we're going to talk some today about all the stories. I found the thing about the sports commission. Let me make sure I get this in so I don't forget it later. They want us to announce that the Beat the Bridge has been postponed until February 9th. All runners should have received an email with instructions, and that's all I've got there. But I couldn't imagine running across that frosty bridge tomorrow. Could you?
It would be freezing.
Woo! And then you possibly get some weather where it's slippery.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, going up would be the hard part.
Yeah.
Going down would be easy.
Yeah. Slide down.
Side. But the Beat the Bridge has been postponed, the Jacksonville Onslow Sports Commission, and that'll be February 9th. So all runners, like I said, should have received an email with instructions. That was one of the best, back to the Hall of Fame induction, one of the best ones I've seen as a group, and you too, because
Thank you.
man, you had them baseball teams that were legendary here in Onslow County. You had a coach that coached, the only state championship in Onslow County. And we're going to talk about that team. That was a magical team too.
It was an incredible group.
Well, let me ask you this, and I want you to give us the timeline because I don't want to mess it up. First of all, let's start at the very beginning. Were you born right here in Onslow?
I was.
Okay, so local family.
Onslow,
Marshburn is a Onslow County name. Yeah.
The old Onslow Memorial Hospital.
Right here behind us. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Man, you were born right across the street.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not there anymore,
Yeah.
but you were born there.
Yeah.
And went to Jacksonville?
I went to started out at Blue Creek because I used to live at Southwest. Grew up in the Harris Creek
Right.
until second grade, and then my dad opened his business up on Highway 17, a service station. So we moved into town. I went to Clyde Irwin Elementary, then Jacksonville Junior High at the time, because back in the day, we didn't have middle school.
Yeah.
Junior high was
I remember
7th,
college
8th, and
junior
9th
high,
grade. Yeah. And then, of course, Jacksonville High School, graduated there in 1976.
So you were born there, went to school here, and you're
Yeah.
right in this little neck of the woods, weren't you?
Yeah.
Talking about Blue Creek Elementary School, that's where I went to school. And I was lived out there my whole life, that area, other than going to Wilmington for 4 or 5 years,
Yeah.
But you've been to Blue Creek as an adult, haven't you, afterwards?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Does it seem a lot smaller to you?
It does.
That hallway I used
Yeah.
to think was as big as the world.
Yeah.
And I don't think the hallway got any smaller. I think we just filled it up a little more.
Yeah.
But man, that place used to
Absolutely.
be as big as,
It was.
you could hold
Yeah.
NBA finals in there, I thought. Now you
Yeah.
walk in there and it's like I'm ducking under stuff in the hallway. And
Yeah.
it's just because we got bigger now. What did you do your high school years as far as sports wise?
Basketball.
Is that your main sport?
Yeah. I played in junior high, I played all three: football, basketball, baseball. When I got to the high school in grades 10, 11, 12, just concentrated on basketball. And,
That was your meal ticket, didn't you?
well, it was the one that I really loved. I liked football, I liked baseball, and realistically, baseball might have been really my best sport. And but there was, I got so consumed in playing basketball that when basketball was over, I just wasn't interested in playing baseball.
Did you do a lot of off-season stuff on basketball?
Back
then you didn't have it like you do now with the travel teams and all that.
That's it. You didn't have AAU.
But you were shooting year round.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I had to go in my backyard. We had, anytime we could get in, friends and I could get in any gym around Jacksonville. I had some buddies that we could get into Infra Prague gym.
Yeah.
And, go over to Jacksonville Junior High. They had Northwoods Park used to be open. Any rec center gym we could get into. I mean, it was Jack Emiette, you know, and any gym we could find to get into. Of course, base, we could ride our bikes over to the base gym.
A lot easier to get on then, yeah.
Yeah, just ride your bike.
You don't just
in.
ride your bike through the gate nowadays. do
Yeah,
you?
I mean, it was, you know, back then you could just, you know, hey, I'm going over to the gym, wave at them, and you know, it was a little bit different, but you know, of course, I had to go in my backyard. That's really where I learned to shoot a basketball.
That's what most of us did.
You know,
neighborhood
just-
pickup
yeah.
games.
Yeah,
Everybody ride their bike down to the one that had the best court.
there you go.
Some of them weren't regulation. They weren't. Most of them were regulation.
No.
Some of them had angles and cuts and
Yeah.
roots and whatever. You know.
There you
Now,
go.
how did you guys do with your basketball seasons there at Jacksonville?
Not too good. We were okay. Of course, I played JV ball my 10th grade year at Jacksonville. Coach Jim Collins was my JV coach. And, you know, we played hard. We were in a very tough conference. We had the Wilmington schools. We had New Bern, Kinston, Goldsboro. We were in a very competitive, tough conference. I know I played against 2 or 3 guys. Clarence Key, we called him Pick from New Hanover. He played Lamar University, and Michael Oliver from Southern Wayne High School. I used to have to guard him or try to guard him. He played at Lamar. He used to play for a guy named Billy Tubbs. And
Yeah.
Billy Tubbs was at
The Billy Tubbs.
yeah, at Lamar before he went to Oklahoma. But both those guys made it in the NBA.
Now, didn't Tubbs go to Kentucky too?
I'm
afterwards?
not sure
I know he was
about
at
that. He
Oklahoma, yeah.
might have, but I know Oliver played. Michael Oliver, his senior year in college, was a leading scorer in college basketball. He played. I think he got drafted by the Denver Nuggets, and Clarence, we called him Pick, played against him from junior high school all the way to, you know, high school, and I think he got drafted by the Dallas Mavericks.
Wow.
But you know, they were you know, we fought, we scrapped, you know, we just really weren't very successful as far as wins and losses. How you doing?
Thank you, Billy Grissett,
Thank you.
for those delicious Billy Balls.
But had an excellent coach, Mr. Jay Randall.
Oh yeah.
He was my high school basketball coach. Very encouraging. You know, just I learned.
He was one that you couldn't help but listen to.
Right. Well,
He commanded your attention.
he taught basketball.
Yeah.
He actually taught the game. And I mean, I learned so much from Mr. Randall. In fact, you know, it kind of helped that, you know, when I was trying to choose a career, I was really interested in coaching basketball. And a lot of it had to do with Mr. Randall because, number one, he made the game seem interesting.
Yeah.
I was learning things in basketball, you know, just certain things that I go, you know, I really like this. And I felt like as a player that I improved a lot. You know, I just, you know, just one of those guys that I felt like I was a good listener, you know, and a hustler. I could shoot the ball. I was around a lot of good athletes. But, you know, I was really more of a role player coming up through sport and playing sports than a superstar. I was definitely not a superstar, but
So Carolina and Kentucky didn't come calling. after high school?
No, they didn't. They didn't come calling.
Was there
Unfortunately,
did you have any thing down at UNCW you did?
I tried out at UNC Wilmington, and I thought I had a pretty good tryout. But you know, they were pretty saturated at the guard position. They had a couple twins named Billy and Bobby Martin. Had a guy named Lonnie Payton. They had a really good team that particular year. They had a guy named Denny Fields, Delaney Jones. They had, I'm trying to think of some other guys, Ralph Peterson, who played at Kinston. He was a 6'4" two guard at Kinston, and he played the two guard at Wilmington. But I thought I had a good tryout. I you know, what you got to lose? I wanted to go down there and give it my best effort, and I thought I had a great tryout. You know, you know, it was just one of those things where, you know,
they've already
came
got
up short.
recruits. They've already got, and so there's probably
Yeah,
just
I mean, you
a
know,
limited number they could have took.
Yeah.
Now, did they? We'll talk about it more when we come back. I want to talk more about the UNCW experience you had down there when we come back. We'll be right back on Sports Talk with Tony Marshburn.
Boys and girls, would you like a compact disc system? Boys and girls, would you like one for free? Yeah! Well, then join me here this weekend. This is Rick Dees with all the false sincerity I can muster to tell you the weekly top 40 is going to be sizzling. Yes, that was my fake laugh. Here's the real one. This weekend, we're going to have new kids on the block here. Another mix like you wouldn't believe. A mix of what you say, Rick? How do I know? I'm just here. This weekend, the weekly top 40. We'll look for you for the best hits in all the world as we count them down here this weekend.
It's the 80s edition of the Weekly Top 40, Sunday night, 6 to 10 on Freedom 97.1 WSME.
Southern Touch Painting, Maintenance, Power Washing, and Roofing specializes in residential and commercial interior and exterior painting. In fact, they paint most anything except cars, including homes, businesses, apartment complexes, decks, and they do minor repairs, wood repairs, pressure washing, waterproofing, and more, including storm repair and cleanup. Southern Touch Painting, Maintenance, Power Washing, and Roofing, fully licensed, insured, and locally owned and operated by Roger Carroll Jr. References available and customer satisfaction is always guaranteed. So if you want it painted, maintained, power washed, or need a new roof, call Southern Touch Painting, Maintenance, and Power Washing at 910-939-0749 or visit southerntouchpaintingnc.com. Southern Touch Painting, Maintenance, Power Washing, and Roofing salutes our troops and is proud to be part of the continued growth of Onslow and surrounding counties. The best deal for the grill is at Jones LP Gas and Oil Company each Friday. Every Friday from 8 a.m. till closing at 5, Jones LP Gas and Oil Company will fill your 20-pound LP gas grill cylinder for only $11. You heard that right. Each Friday till closing, you can have your 20-pound LP gas cylinder filled for only $11 at Jones Gas and Oil Company, 3881 Wilmington Highway in heart of Verona. In addition to saving money on your LP gas for the grill, Jones Gas and Oil is your full-service gas and oil company serving residential, commercial, and agricultural gas and oil needs, as well as gas appliances, LP replacement, parts, fill cylinders, and tankless water heaters, and they offer a 10% military discount on installation. Remember to get that cylinder filled every Friday until closing for only $11. Jones Gas and Oil Company, 3881 the Old Wilmington Highway, Verona. Phone 910-346-6384.
If you are looking to purchase a pre-owned car, truck, or SUV without the high pressure, Onslow County Motor Company, 1639 Lejeune Boulevard, may be the dealership for you. At Onslow County Motor Company, they want to help you buy a car, truck, or SUV, not just sell you one. Buying a car, truck, or SUV should be enjoyable, and the folks at Onslow County Motor Company will do their best in making your car buying experience fun and relaxed. Check out their inventory online at ocmc.us or visit them at 1639 Lejeune Boulevard. All vehicles are hand-selected, and a standard warranty comes with most vehicles, with extended warranties available, and Carfax is free. Stop by and visit Ben, Brandon, Travis, or Terry. They will gladly answer all your questions about a particular model. Great selection, great people. Onslow County Motor Company, 1639 Lejeune Boulevard, Jacksonville, where customers send their friends.
Call today, 910-355-7066.
Hey everybody, this is Bill Mercer. One of the biggest concerns for our retirement population is health care and being rendered unable to care for ourselves. Open enrollment for Medicare products begins on October 15th and ends on December 7th. Other times are the 6-month period surrounding your 65th birthday. It can get complicated. That's why I want to be your agent. We can set a time for you to come to my office at Bartley Insurance Services, 3684A Henderson Drive, and I'll walk you through the entire process and alleviate your anxiety, no charge. Also, for those of us over the age of 45, I will be glad to discuss a sensible approach to long and short-term care that will be much easier on your budget and will cover in-home care as well as facility care without breaking the bank. I believe in this so much I have purchased the coverage myself. Let's get together soon to discuss. Please call 910-346-2170 and you'll understand why I want to be your agent. Thank you.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time and switch to the expensive shampoo with amino acids. Sure, you don't know what those are or why you need them, but it sounds very impressive. And if you switch and save hundreds, you can massage it into your scalp every day. Now, if only you can get people to lean toward your head to smell those aminos. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For shampoo, Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest. The last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying. Just beautiful.
Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay. Things people love.
Freedom 97.1 WSME.
Hey, welcome back to Sports Talk. I'm your host, Chris Rayner. Friday, January 10th. I have to look at the thing. All the days run together when you're retired, don't they? Before we get going anymore with our guest, Tony Marshburn, thank you for being with us, by the way.
Thank you.
I do want to mention, once again, the passing of Dr. W. Kenneth Morgan Sr. Passed away on January 7th. He opened his dental practice way back in 1961 and practiced for 60 years. He and his family were great supporters of Onslow County athletics over the years. We've talked about that already. Cardinal sports, all Onslow County sports. The Morgan family is well ingrained in the sports community here. And I do want to read a little bit about him. Because of Dr. Morgan's belief that athletics can have a positive impact on a young person's life, he coached Little League football for a number of years. He led the effort to establish a Pop Warner Little League football program in Jacksonville. He firmly believed that the discipline and teamwork acquired in the football program made these individuals more courageous and successful in life, and also more apt to give back to their community wherever they may live. And that's true. You see so many athletes come back and do for their community. You see Willie Parker doing stuff. Marcus Jones, of course, did a ton of stuff for Southwest, and we love him over there at the Stallion Country. He's always a Stallion, even though he's down in Tampa Bay now. It's like still having him around. He solicited help from many of his friends to get the Pop Warner program off the ground. Every Saturday in the fall, hundreds of young men and their families would spend quality time together learning the many lessons of life that can be translated from the football field to assist in the growth and maturity as productive citizens. Dr. Morgan spent 50 years of his life dedicated to academics and athletics in Onslow County. And many years before they became mandatory, Dr. Morgan fabricated and donated mouth guards for the football teams. I never knew that. Now, he knew from experience what those things will do and what they're for. And I've heard over the years, and I don't know if this is right, you from the sports world may know, but it's not as much to protect your teeth as it causes a little buffer on the concussion part of it, as far as, the jarring hits like that. And I'm sure it protects your teeth too, but they found that over the years that's more of an advantage, that way too. And it actually says, I'm getting ahead of myself, sorry, assisting curtailing concussions and severe dental injuries. So he didn't want these kids coming in there like hockey players with missing teeth. We're going to have our hurricane watch coming up. You've seen hockey players before, man. They're just a mess. I wouldn't even get my teeth fixed until, the season was over. But Dr. Kenneth Morgan, thank you so much for all the input he had from the dental profession. There's probably a lot of people owe their mouths to him.
Well, I tell you what, let me just say that Dr. Morgan, just an incredible person, the whole family. Let me throw this in. Back in 2012-13, I'd had a heart attack in 2012, January 12th, 2012. And I think the next year I came back, or I finished out the season. I'd sat out 2 weeks. Anyway, I think I was Daily News Coach of the Year in 2013. I'm called up to the front office, and there's this big poster board with a picture of me and the article from the Daily News. I think it was Chris Miller or Rick Scoppy. And on the front, it had from Dr. Morgan and Miss Morgan, special delivery to Tony Marshburn. And it had a card inside congratulating me. And that's still on my wall today.
So they put that together for you.
Look, it
kind of
was
like a shadow box.
You
type
know
thing,
what?
yeah.
They were pillars of our community. I mean, such outstanding people who would give, like you said. I mean, of course, Tommy and Brabsy and Kenny went to Jacksonville, and think about it. Well, it didn't matter. Dr. Morgan. He was here to support the community in any capacity. Just an outstanding man and family, and a tremendous loss for our community, but just an awesome person.
You know, Tommy would be a good one to have on the show sometime.
Yeah, Tommy
Talk
would
about
be.
sports.
Yeah,
and all the contributions, especially his dad's made and they've made over the years.
Oh,
we
yeah.
need to make that happen. I mean, they've been a good sponsor for us, and we'll try and work that in sometime.
Tommy,
hey, if
and
you want
Kenny,
to come back
yeah.
when we do it, be co-host. Once you've been here more than once, you're co-host status. So. And you're subject to be called in to host if I ever pull up lame and can't make it. But once again, big shout out to the family, and keep the Morgan family in your prayers and your thoughts as they go through losing their father. He meant so much to this area, and we truly thank the Morgan family for what they've done.
Absolutely.
Now, you down at UNCW.
Yeah.
You're down there with a crew. Tell us about some of that crew you went to college with.
Well, golly. Let's
Some
see
things you
here.
probably can't tell, but tell what you can.
You probably heard of Phil Padgett before. We were down there. In fact, we were college roommates, and people don't realize that Phil went to the library every day.
What girl was working at the library that he wanted to see?
Phil would get up, would y'all go eat breakfast, and head over to the library, believe it or not, to read the sports pages over there in a newspaper.
Yep.
And and that was probably the extent of it. But anyway, I tell people, I go, yeah, Phil went to the library. Can you imagine that?
And
But,
I remember doing that too at UNCW. You had them newspapers on the sticks.
Yeah.
Remember, so you couldn't
That's
take
what it
them.
was.
And I would go there and catch up on Stallion football, or because I wasn't getting the paper all the time.
Look, there would be like 4 or 5 pages just sports, and you knew everybody's batting average or how many games they average a game or the passing yard, whatever sport it was, pros, college, high school, you knew about the athletes. Because you could get the Daily News, the Wilmington Star News. You could get, I think USA Today was back then, and probably some other papers.
That's the main one I read I read the Star News down there some for local, but it was the Daily News I was looking for.
Oh, yeah.
There was times where
absolutely.
if they didn't have it, I'd get in the car and ride up to you could go to Holly Ridge and get one. Like if there was something I knew was in there I wanted. I weren't nothing to get in the car, and I'd ride to that convenience store at Holly Ridge and get a paper.
I
miss the old paper days. I know things are different. And Chris Miller keeps reminding me this is a digital age and it's I want this now type thing. But it was just something about holding on to that paper. And if you had those old articles, like I've still got all the old articles from the Southwest State Championships that Coach Padgett won. I'm sure you got this ones from your state championship. And we're gonna get to them state championships here in a minute. But when you first come out of college after all that good time y'all had, tell us about how you got into coaching and everything.
Well, actually, I started coaching baseball at Southwest. My first year, I was hired kind of late. Bob King had left. Bob King actually, I think Coach Nobles might have taken over for Bob King after that. But anyway, Bob King had left. He'd been a basketball coach, and he'd entered a business. His dad helped invent Golden Corral. His dad was one of the original investors. So this was Bob had, I think, resigned at, say, around March. So Mr. Randall, who was the principal at Southwest at the time, came and found me. I was working part-time, I think, over at Marine Chevrolet, selling some cars for Mr. Ragsdale. And said, look, you got a position open, I'd like to have you. So I took the position. And, of course, it was right around baseball season. Tim Foster and that group was the very first group I coached. I think that was around 1982, I believe. I had that conferred with Tim.
Talking about baseball or basketball?
Baseball. Basketball just ended, so I coached junior high baseball there. And then, started coaching. I coached junior high baseball for a number of years, junior high basketball, and then took over the JV basketball program and for a year or two. And that's, that's about the extent of my coaching at Southwest. I coached some tremendous athletes and good people. And a lot of them by the time they had reached varsity had just very, you've heard names like Keith Collins, Tyrone Burney, guys like that. I mean, just good
Marcus
athletes.
Jones, you were there when Marcus was there.
Marcus, I coached Marcus in junior high basketball. I never coached him in football, and I thought he could have been a heck of a basketball player, but obviously football was his calling. I mean, he was a different dude.
So what year did he stop playing basketball? Do you remember?
Well, I think he played all the way through high school.
So he did it as a senior and everything too.
I think they had to cut 2 jerseys open and put in a center section and sew it back together.
And it weren't like they'd have to do for me where it had to be more down here. It was up here.
Look,
Marcus was a big muscle dude.
Marcus, and Phil told me, and I don't know if this is completely accurate, quote unquote, but it seemed like, okay, Marcus was, you can get this picture, 6'6". I'd say Marcus ran probably about a 4.7, 4.8, maybe 4.9. Marcus, don't get mad at me if you ran a 4.5 or 4.4, 40, and benched, say, 550 pounds. Now imagine getting hit by that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a different specimen.
That's railroad tracks I don't want to be on when that train's coming through.
Tell you what. But
now, did they ever put him in the backfield any that you remember? Like as a fullback or a blocking back, something like that? I know he was great as a he was like the number 1 defensive end in lineman in America.
Yeah.
But I mean, I didn't know if with that kind of size, if they ever put him there like that.
I don't remember because I know seems like Marcus went straight to the varsity. I don't think he played a day of JV.
Yeah, I think he went to varsity in 7th grade, didn't he?
Well, I think they tried.
Hey, I'm sure they tried.
He could have played though. I mean, he was but Marcus.
Probably the only reason Phil didn't get him in that early is because he knew it would take away one of his years of eligibility as a senior. Yeah.
But Marcus, he used to love, and he was a fun character guy.
Yeah.
I mean, one of his hobbies was reading comic books. That was his hobby at school, man.
He's told me before we're talking to him that he was kind of a nerd. And stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like all the stuff you see these cats on the Big Bang Theory and stuff. Marcus was comic book guy, things like that.
And I tell you another guy that, man, Troy Barnett.
Yeah.
I coached Troy Barnett, and Troy, we used to call him Computer.
Yeah.
And
very intellectual.
Wow, just a smart guy. And he walked on at Carolina, ended up starting. He didn't get drafted in the NFL, but got hired as a free agent with the New England Patriots.
And started for the Patriots for a while.
And I'd stayed in contact with Troy. Actually, we would get our uniforms when I could from Troy. I think he was a Reebok first, then he went to Nike. I think the last uniforms that
I think he might be Under Armour now.
Yeah, it was Under Armour.
It might be
It
Under
wasn't
Armour now,
Nike. It was Under Armour. You're right. They were very nice. I mean, warm-ups and everything. I mean, he told me, he connected me with a rep out of Virginia, and they hooked us up with some very nice, warm-ups, uniforms, etc.
And that's one of those we talked about, like Dr. Morgan, staying with the program.
Oh, yeah.
And helping the local programs out, things like that. Yeah. Now, you work your way up through Southwest, through the ranks, and what was your first head coaching gig? Was it Northside?
No, actually, I had I coached at Rosewood for a year.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, for 1 year.
It weren't about the time Rosewood beat us in the playoffs, was it?
It was, I think, right. It was right.
You know the game I'm talking about.
I do.
Number 1 team in the state. And
I think I just
slipped
left
up to
there,
Rosewood in the first round.
I was at Southern Wayne that year, I believe. But
so right around the early 90s.
Yeah, I spent most of my career as an assistant, and which I really enjoyed at White Oak, Southern Wayne. But when the head job became available, or when I found out about Northside.
So you were the first one
at Northside.
Like Coach Eason was in football.
Yeah. Okay. In fact, we were hired basically at the same time, Coach Eason and myself, and in Coach Eason in football, and it's kind of odd to see how it works. When I left Southwest, actually Coach Eason took over my position at Southwest.
Okay. Yeah, and that group y'all had there, man. You heard used to Miami of Ohio was called the Cradle of Coaches, but you talk about that group y'all had there.
Yeah,
all of them went on to either other schools or stayed there and became. Obviously, Coach Padgett did what he did. state championship in basketball. Coach Easton, that was, in my opinion, one of the best runs of a team that didn't win a state championship. Them Northside teams he had, man, they were, if it weren't for Willie Parker at Clinton, or one of those great Wallace Rose Hill teams, or not Wallace Rose Hill, Tarboro, Todd Gurley in that crowd.
I think we played them twice.
Yeah.
Todd Gurley. I think Todd Gurley's senior year, it wasn't really Todd Gurley because we keyed so much on him. He wasn't the guy that hurt us. It was the quarterback.
Yeah.
Because he would fake the pitch to Gurley, and of course we were all keying on Gurley, and he would keep it and
duck
cut
back
it
inside.
up. And it was a great game. I mean, it was a game that, just a tremendous high school football game.
And it's funny you mentioned that, because I remember some of those runs you're talking about. It reminded me a lot of Kendrick Burning.
Absolutely.
When Kendrick would be everything going this way, and all of a sudden he's cut back the other way
against
the flow and made that little seam and gone.
Yeah.
And so, that quarterback, he was a special player.
He was tough.
Too.
He was special. We played him there the first time at Tarboro, and then the second time we played him at our place. And I think both games really came down to one score, if I can remember. I can't really remember the exact score, but it seemed like
it was a close one.
They were both games that incredible games.
All right, now let's jump to your days at Northside. Starting out, we're gonna take a quick break. We're right at a break here anyway. That's a good time, good place to take a break. We're right back with Tony Marshburn on Sports Talk.
Coming up on the next Goddard's Gold, it's the duos, Peter and Gordon and Chad and Jeremy. Great hits, Nobody I Know, a summer song, True Love Ways, If I Loved You, A World Without Love, Before and After, I Go to Pieces, Yesterday's Gone, To Know You Is to Love You, Distant Shores, Peter and Gordon, Chad and Jeremy, next Gold. Saturdays at 11 a.m. here on Freedom 97.1 and 1120 a.m. WSME.
Goddard's Gold. The holidays are over, the parties are done, but bodacious savings have just begun at National Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. During the Start Something New sales event, get huge discounts on new Jeeps, Ram trucks, and the performance of Dodge. Find yours at nationaldodge.com.
Visit National Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram, Highway 17 in Jacksonville.
It's a national thing. Go National!
In a season of falling temperatures and rising energy bills, your local Bryant professional is always ready, standing by to protect your home's comfort and defend you from uncomfortable temperatures and the higher energy bills associated with them. Ready to do whatever it takes for your home, your family, and you to be comfortable without breaking the bank. Because when the temperature falls, that's when your local Bryant professional turns up the heat efficiently.
Call Down East Heating and Air Conditioning at 346-4311 and let them keep you comfortable this winter. Down East Heating and Air Conditioning.
Attention property owners, are you fed up with bad tenants, under market rents, and late payments? At Fountain Management, we provide unrivaled levels of expertise and all the tools and services you need to make owning a rental property easy and profitable. Are you ready to talk about taking the management of your real estate investment to the next level? Well, contact us today. Fountain Management, 910-455-1609.
In a season of falling temperatures and rising energy bills, your local Bryant professional is always ready, standing by to protect your home's comfort and defend you from uncomfortable temperatures and the higher energy bills associated with them. Ready to do whatever it takes for your home, your family, and you to be comfortable without breaking the bank. Because when the temperature falls, that's when your local Bryant professional turns up the heat efficiently.
Call Down East Heating and Air Conditioning at 346-4311 and let them keep you comfortable this winter. Down East Heating and Air Conditioning, serving our community for over 25 years. Also, Down East can help you with your home guttering needs. Call Down East today at 346-4311.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
Attention property owners, are you fed up with bad tenants, under market rents, and late payments? At Fountain Management, we provide unrivaled levels of expertise and all the tools and services you need to make owning a rental property easy and profitable. Are you ready to talk about taking the management of your real estate investment to the next level? Well, contact us today. Fountain Management, 910-455-1609. We will make owning your rental property simple and rewarding.
Sometimes your monthly bill can get lost in mounds of your daily mail, but with paperless billing, it goes straight to your email. When you sign up for paperless billing, you receive an email monthly. Just open the email and you can see your account balance and due date. It's simple, safe, and you even help the environment by making the switch. Sign up for paperless billing under the account management section of My Account at joemc.com. Member focused, service driven. That's our co-op.
Freedom 97.1 WSME.
Hey, welcome back to Sports Talk. Time for the Hurricane Watch, sponsored by Downey's Heating and Air Conditioning. Jason Humphrey and the gang. The Hurricanes, man, they're all over the place. Have a winning streak, have a losing streak, but their losing streaks haven't been bad. They had one game or one stretch earlier where they lost 3 in a row, which don't normally happen with them. Then they lost 2 in a row a while back. But this past week, since we last met, they played several games. They had a win 4-3 over the Penguins. All my Penguins fans out there, my friends that are Penguins fans. You got Beth Leone. Remember Beth went to Southwest.
Yeah.
You know, and her dad was one of the ones that helped get the football program started and everything there. You know, the field and everything. Crystal Reed, a lot of Penguins fans out there. Bobby Bell, remember Bobby?
I do.
All these guys. Bobby attached onto the Pittsburgh thing, and the smart thing about Pittsburgh is all their teams have the same colors.
Yeah.
So you got black and orange, you got or black and yellow, you got everything.
Yeah.
You got the Pirates, the Steelers, and the Penguins. But they beat the Penguins 4-3 in overtime. That was a good game last Sunday. Then this past Tuesday, lost 3-2 to Tampa Bay. That was at the very end, like with about 50 seconds to go. Great game, and Tampa Bay is a good team, so you know it wasn't a terrible loss. And then last night, great game, won 6-3. I didn't get to see that one because it was on one of those funky streaming services.
Yeah.
I missed the old days where you just turn the cable on and there it is. But we were watching the championship semifinal game last night between Notre Dame and Penn State.
Yeah, what a game.
Great game, yeah.
It was.
So I couldn't switch from that to a streaming service. That's why I like cable. On the commercial, I could go right to the other one.
Yeah.
With streaming, you got to go through about 20 steps to get there, so it just didn't work out. Canes won last night 6-3, so they won 2 out of their last 3. They won 3 out of their last 5. It's kind of like an alternating thing right now. They'll have a great game and then a stinker. So they play tonight, so hopefully they'll break that streak tonight of the great games and stinkers. Not sure what the weather will do up there. It's going to be interesting because the Raleigh area is a little more in the crosshairs as far as the weather. But I think it's supposed to come overnight, like midnight or so, from what I understand.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing on the app.
So if you're going to the game tonight, Canes are home against Vancouver tonight at 7 o'clock. And then they'll be home again Sunday. I get to go to that one. It's bobblehead night. So I always try to make bobblehead night to get that free souvenir. Tickets are high enough, so you want to try and get something free out of it. Looking at the standings, the Canes are still right there in the playoffs. They're third in the Metropolitan Division with 52 points. The way it works is there's 3 division winners or 3 division leaders from each division. So that's 6 teams, and there's 2 wild cards that'll get in. The 2 wild cards, if the Canes were to slip to that level, are 45 points and 44, and the Canes have 52 points. So they're well in the playoffs. And as you've seen in sports lately, just make the playoffs.
Yeah, there you go.
It doesn't matter about being the top seed.
There you go.
Before we get away from it, I do want to thank once again Downey's Heating and Air Conditioning, Jason Humphrey and the gang for sponsoring the Hurricane Watch. Baseball 2 years ago, all 4 teams that had byes lost in the first series they had. Do you think the bye hurts sometimes? Getting you out of a routine of playing when other teams are still playing?
Well, I think that the teams that are playing, if you play a really good game, take Ohio State for example, they've played with a lot of energy and emotion, and you look at them playing Oregon.
Yeah, and Oregon been sitting around for 20 days.
That's it. I mean, they came in with a lot of momentum.
Yeah.
And momentum's a big thing, chemistry, momentum, and, the way just an example right now, you look at Notre Dame and of course you look at, they beat Georgia last week. And of course Ohio State just whipped up on Oregon.
Yeah, that was bad with Georgia losing a quarterback like that. Right
It was.
Started.
It was.
And so tonight you have Texas and
Ohio State.
Ohio State, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a Donnybrook too, probably.
Well, it should be a great game. It'd be down in Dallas, but we'll see. Ohio State right now, based on what I've seen the last week or two, look, I mean,
they're playing as good as
they're
anybody.
just they've put it on a different level, and they got the weapons and they got the personnel, so they can keep the momentum going. I mean, they're good on both sides of the ball, So you got to be at this point. You can't be one-sided where your offense is clicking, your defense is not very good. You got to be good on both sides. You got to have some breaks.
Well, you think with all the crap that's going on in college football, you're not called crap. NIL, player opt-outs, the transfer portal. What genius put the transfer portal before bowl season was over to start with? I understand the semester's over, but man, that's just a mess.
It's just too
with
much.
All that crap they've had, though. Don't you think college football's drooling at the chance of having Ohio State or Texas versus, it'll be one of those two versus Notre Dame for the title.
Yeah.
And you talk about Ohio State and Notre Dame for the title.
Yeah.
Man, you talk about two football
programs. A lot of history. Yeah,
yep.
Absolutely.
So it's going to be interesting. It'll be a great game tonight. Now, but before we go to our next break, let's kind of get back. Hollywood will let us when we got to go. But you starting out at Northside, started the program. How was your first couple of seasons there?
Well, can we back up a second, Chris? Let me say this. I coached at Southwest, coached at White Oak, and then went to Northside when it opened up. And, being from Onslow County, first of all, let me just say how grateful I am to come back and give back to the county and the city I love. I mean, the people here in Onslow County and Jacksonville, they've always treated me great. Like one of their sons. And I mean, it's humbling to me and my family. But I work with so many good coaches and coach so many awesome players. Not for my players. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have stayed in coaching as long as I did. It's so much thanks to them, my players, my former players.
And you still get to see a lot of them from time
I
to time.
do. I try to stay in touch with them. I see them across town and guys I coached, 30, 40 years ago, 50 years ago that I'd coached. But, it's so humbling to me to just really come back and give back. That's the one thing I think about probably more than anything as far as my career, just, being an Onslow County native, just, coming back and giving back to the community and doing what I truly loved, and that was coaching. And, but back to your question, Northside, when it opened up in 2001, Dr. Laurie Spring, thank you, Dr. Laurie Spring, for hiring me to be the first men's basketball coach at Northside in 2001, 2002. But, your question was, how did we do the first couple of years? The first year we opened, of course, we didn't have any seniors. We were strictly 9, 10, 11.
Because all the ones that were transferred there could stay at Jacksonville.
Yeah. And we just didn't have any seniors, period, at Northside. Yeah. None.
Well, what I mean is the ones that would have been seniors probably could stay at the school they were at before. Yeah. So
and that's what they did.
They didn't transfer.
But, we had some 9th graders, some 10th graders. And thing about it was, our gym was occupied with school equipment, desks, et cetera, because they were still working on our building. So I couldn't get in our gym over the summer. So I went and talked to, I think it was Mr. James, the principal at the Commons, to ask him if I could borrow the gym. And I got some phone numbers. Back then you didn't have cell phones. Yeah. So I had to get
You were writing them down, weren't you?
Look, I had to get a log. I went up to Miss Barbie in the office and got a log of and called Russell Stevens, and of course I knew I'd worked with Greg and tried to find out the names of some players that lived in the neighborhoods that were, those guys were probably going to be coming to Northside. And I got in touch with them and called them up and said, look, I want to do a get together at the Commons gym, 6 o'clock on da-da-da. And I said, can you be there? So I tried to get in touch with as many as I could. Well, that's how we really kind of got started.
Well, I want to jump back in that just a second and talk about that meeting you had. And if we do have to take we're kind of at a hard break here. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to jump right back in with that before we do some of the other things. We'll be right back on Sports Talk.
Freedom 97.1 WSME.
Humphrey Heating and Air Conditioning, your trusted local carrier indoor weather team, serving all of your heating and air conditioning needs since 1967. Now offers residential and commercial duct and dryer vent cleaning, and now offers expert residential and commercial plumbing service. In case of a power outage due to a storm or for any reason, be prepared with a Generac generator for your home or business. Humphrey Heating and Air Conditioning has Generac generators in stock, ready to install today. Remember, better breathing comes with cleaner air. Let Humphrey Heating and Air Conditioning improve the air quality in your home or business with professional air duct cleaning. As always, Humphrey Heating and Air Conditioning is available 24/7. For all your heating, cooling, and plumbing emergency needs, turn to the carrier experts, Humphrey Heating and Air Conditioning, with locations in Jacksonville and Hempstead. Visit online, humphreyheating.com, and follow them on Facebook and Instagram. Humphrey Heating and Carrier. Turn to the experts.
Pro Image Promotional Solutions in Jacksonville. A one-stop for your custom tees, sweats, hooded sweats, caps, and outerwear. Pro Image will design uniquely for you. Pro Image will do screen prints, digitize, and embroider right on site at their location in Jacksonville at 51 Plaza Drive B, just behind the Pizza Hut on Gum Branch Road. Pro Image Promotional Solutions, specializing in helping schools, businesses, church groups, civic organizations, and recreation sports teams with uniforms and their team gear. See Mark Houston for ideas on how to make your personal business wear look professional and appealing. For more information, visit proimagenc.com. That's proimagenc.com or call 910-347-0004. Again, that's 910-347-0004. Pro Image Promotional Solutions, just behind the Pizza Hut on Gum Branch Road, Jacksonville.
Mohawk All Pet Protection and Warranty. It's the only carpet protection and warranty for all pets, all accidents, all the time. Because your pets are family members too. No matter how you live, we've got you covered. Soft, luxurious, Smart Strand Forever Clean Carpet. Gorgeous, durable, Solid-Tech luxury vinyl tile. Mohawk has the ultimate floor for every room in your home that's suitable for all pets. For details, contact Watkins Floor Covering online at watkinsnewfloor.com. Watkins Floor Covering, thanking you for voting them the best of the best for 2023 in the flooring covering and carpet cleaning category. Watkins Floor Covering, they're more than just floors. It's custom showers, custom tubs, carpet cleaning, backsplashes, bathrooms, commercial, retail, and home flooring too. Watkins Floor Covering, family owned and operated since 1997, with locations in Jacksonville and Surf City. Watkins Floor Covering, you stand on it, we stand behind it.
For 40 years now, people throughout Jacksonville and Onslow County have trusted Barnes Diamond Gallery for all their jewelry needs for every special occasion. They understand that every day is a special event for someone, whether celebrating a wedding, anniversary, birthday, engagement, or graduation. Let Barnes Diamond Gallery custom design something for you. Barnes Diamond Gallery does on-site repair in addition to their quality and selection of diamonds, diamond fashion bands, pendants, watches, earrings, gemstone rings, and necklaces for anyone for any occasion. Major credit cards accepted. Layaway available. Barnes Diamond Gallery offers appraisals and pay top market prices for gold and silver. Barnes Diamond Gallery, 461 Western Boulevard, Suite 120, Jacksonville, open 9:30 to 5:30, Monday through Friday.
WSME, Camp Lejeune, W246CJ, Jacksonville.
Welcome to Lane & Associates Family Dentistry, where we love to make you smile. Now proud to be working with Drs. Kim and Tommy Morgan, formerly Morgan Family Dentistry. The Jacksonville and Richlands Morgan offices of Lane & Associates Family Dentistry blends the latest technology with personal care and attention, so you have an amazing dental experience. The offices of Lane & Associates welcome all ages and accepts all major insurances, including military. Lane & Associates Family Dentistry has been serving the state of North Carolina for over 40 years, with 2 locations in Jacksonville, Richlands, and Maysville. Call for an appointment today at 877-LANE-DDS or online at lanedds.com. Welcome to Lane & Associates Family Dentistry.
Freedom 97.1 WSME.
Hey, welcome back to Sports Talk. Chris Strainer, your host today, your usual host, but have an extraordinary guest today, Tony Marshburn. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Let's get back to your story there about getting everything started up.
Well, I'd mentioned about getting together with a group of guys, and like I said, I didn't coach none of the players that I coached at Northside had played for me at White Oak. I was a JV basketball coach at White Oak, and of course, I didn't know the guys over at Jacksonville. I might probably coached against them, but I just,
saw them, but just didn't know them.
Yeah. But it was one of those things where it was just a new start, a new school. Here's the thing about Northside when it first opened, there was so much excitement. Yeah. I mean, the whole school, all 400 of them, it was buzzing. It seemed like every day because now you have players or guys, girls coming to Northside wanting to play sports that didn't play at Jacksonville or White Oak. Now they're getting an opportunity at a brand new school.
Right.
To
be the start.
Yeah.
It's a lot like when Campbell started their football program, just like that, to where, you got that a fresh place for people to start. It might not be, you're not in the top 10 in the country, but it's a good start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And football, of course, I remember the first meeting Bob Easton and me had with the football players. It was kind of like the same scenario. We got word out, hey, we're going to meet at the football field. But see, the football field wasn't ready yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the county did it for you.
Yeah.
That was the difference from when you were at Southwest. Remember at Southwest, the community
we had
to
our
do it.
first meeting. They were still working on the field. We were still, after we met and had like an hour session.
Yeah.
We asked the guys to go out on the field with us to help pick roots off and throw them in a little bomb pile.
Now, see, we were the little kids doing that at Southwest when we were growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
I think the first time Bob and me met with the potential football players, we had like 6 or 12 kids show up.
Wow.
And Bob says, well, how many of you guys have played varsity football before? And nobody raised their hand. Same thing with basketball. And actually, the guard, a kid that was a guard at Jacksonville ended up being our quarterback at Northside. His name was Will Gaddy.
He was an offensive lineman and ended up being
and he was our quarterback. But he was.
But once again, they didn't have seniors just like basketball didn't.
Right. I mean, but it was
all young players.
The thing about it was, man, I was so excited and just really, when football season finished, I think we won one or two games that year. I think we won one. I can't remember. I think we beat a local team in the first game, and that might have been our only win. I can't remember.
It seems like the first game was a win, though. I remember that.
It was. And then in basketball, we won our first 4 games.
Really?
We won our first 4 games. Then we played in the White Oak tournament. That's before the Onslow County tournament.
The Christmas tournament.
Yeah. And then because Greg used to have his tournament, and I think Swansboro, I think, used to have their tournament. Them and Topsail kind of coordinated things. And anyway, had 2 different Christmas tournaments going on. Some local teams would play in the White Oak tournament. Some would play in the Topsail Swansboro tournament. But anyway, we entered that tournament, and we were really outmanned that first year. We played some very good teams and kind of got hammered. But we learned, we got better. We used it as a learning tool. And actually, the first year, we had certain goals. Of course, we all, your goal every year is to improve and get better, and just try to, build chemistry and develop your players. The first year we finished 3rd in the conference behind East Carteret and Southwest.
Everybody was 2A then. You guys were, yeah.
We finished with a winning record in the conference and overall. We were the first team in Northside history to finish the season with a winning record. Yeah. We were the only team that particular year, first year, 2001, 2002. And we made the playoffs. And this is a funny story. You'd love this. I told my team, I'm trying to motivate, I'm motivating. I go, yeah, guys, we're going to make the playoffs. And, we get to go to the playoffs. And once you get to the playoffs, anything can happen. It's going to be a packed gym. And I mean, it's going to be great. I mean, it's going to be one of the best moments of your life. Anyway, we make the playoffs. So we get paired up against Edenton Homes.
That's
which
a good
is
haul.
about, it's about 3.5 hours north up towards
And back
Elizabeth
then it was
City.
even longer because it was old 2-lane 17. Yeah.
And I'll never forget. It was kind of a cold, misty day. And, I'm talking to the team and I'm going, guys, man, what a great moment for us, and da-da-da. And got plenty of time to talk to them and just, firing them up. And I go, yeah. And, it's going to be a packed house and, standing room only. So we get there a little early, go in the gym, and we're shooting around. And, it's getting closer to game time and nobody's at the game. And now we're about maybe 5 minutes before game time and there's hardly anybody there. A few of our fans, the parents had come up and some of their fans, but there was probably 25 people at the game. Well, my starting point guard, it's funny now. Calvin Green comes over to me, he goes, Coach, he goes, where's everybody at? I go, Calvin, I don't know. I said, I'm sure they'll be here. He goes, but he's looking up at the clock. He goes, I know, but the game starts in about 5 minutes. I said, Calvin, don't worry about the fans. You worry about the game. But anyway.
Did you have any show up?
Yeah, nobody showed up, about 25 people there total. And Calvin never let me live that down. He goes, Coach, you hyped us up and nobody showed up.
Run through a brick wall and there's nobody there to watch it. Now, I want to talk more about that. We're gonna jump into this day in sports and knock out some things here, and then we're gonna talk more about. I want to bring up. So remind me to get back to that point there. What we're gonna do is take turns reading these real quick, and then I'll read one, you read one, and Hollywood's gonna help us out too, aren't you, Hollywood? Have you got a sheet?
Absolutely, I got one. I'm prepared.
All this stuff happened on a January 10th, and I read through. There's some cool stuff that happened on January 10th back in the day. Started out in 1914. Norwegian speed skater Oscar Matheson skates a world 500-meter record in, I guess, 43.7 minutes.
Seconds.
43. It's got to be, seconds. You're right. 43 minutes and 500 meters would be a little slow. I could do that. 43.7 seconds in Oslo, Norway. Were you much of a skater? Did you ever go to the Wilmington Ice House down there while y'all were there?
No.
All right, we'll get the next one for us there, 1953.
Okay, in 1953, third NFL Pro Bowl, Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. National Conference beats American Conference 27-7. MVP, Don Dole, Detroit Lions defensive back.
I don't remember Don Dole.
I don't either.
Don Dole, okay.
Let's see here. In 1957, baseball commissioner Ford Frick rules the legendary Bing Crosby can keep token stock in Detroit Tigers, even though he owns part of the Pittsburgh Pirates. How about that?
You reckon that's where that term came from? Never mind. I won't get into that.
Move on.
All right, in 1967, the 17th NBA All-Star Game at the Cow Palace in San Francisco. The Cow Palace in San Francisco, California. The West beats the East 135-120. That was a low-scoring All-Star game compared. Nowadays, it's close to 200 each. The MVP was Rick Barry. Now, you talk about a basketball player now. The San Francisco Warriors, he was I guess a small forward for the San Francisco Warriors. Now, he was the one that shot the free throws granny style, right?
Yeah, he did.
And made about 95% of them. Yeah,
he's a Hall of Famer. Okay, in 1982, the AFC Championship, Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, Ohio. Cincinnati Bengals beat San Diego Chargers 27-7. They called it the Freezer Bowl.
And that was to make the that was the one where the Bengals went back with Ken Anderson was the quarterback time ago.
Years ago, 82.
And this is really famous. 1982. Excuse me. 1982, the NFC Championship, Candlestick Park, San Francisco. San Francisco 49ers beat the Dallas Cowboys 28-7. The catch. Iconic moment in NFL history. Dwight Clark makes fingertip catch for touchdown from Joe Montana with 58 inches remaining.
Seconds, I think.
Oh, they messed up there. They messed up there. Seconds remaining. San Francisco goes on to win the Super Bowl.
Now, this past week or earlier this week too, I saw it on Brian North has, the birthdays and stuff, even folks that, passed on. And of course, Dwight Clark passed on years ago. His brother, Jeff Clark, is, still here in Onslow County. With Marine Federal, they do so much for our community too. We want to thank them for that. But I talked to Jeff earlier this week, or was texting him. This week would have been Dwight Clark's 61st birthday.
Wow.
This week. And then, of course, a couple days later, the catch. So I never realized that he made the catch a couple days around his birthday. That's a nice birthday present, wasn't
absolutely.
it? And that's one of the things, if you ever see a highlight reel of all-time sports stuff, that's on there. One of the most iconic moments, like in NFL history and in sports. All right, in 1985, Lenny Wilkens becomes the first coach in 1,000 NBA games, the first to coach in 1,000 NBA games, when the Seattle Supersonics beat the Golden State Warriors 89-86. Did you coach 1,000 games?
No. I probably did in my career.
Yeah.
Overall, a lot more than 1,000, but in high school, probably around 500 or 600.
That's still a lot.
As head coach. Okay, in 1986, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, formerly known as Lou Alcindor, of the Los Angeles Lakers, scores his 34,000th career point during a 121-102 win over Indiana Pacers. Only NBA player to reach the milestone at that time, holds career record until 2023.
So he held that joker a long time.
All right.
Yeah.
And the question is, who beat that record?
LeBron James.
The second best player in NBA history.
Yeah.
Second greatest player of all time.
You don't believe that at all.
I think Jordan's the greatest.
Absolutely.
All right, 1989, LA Kings center Wayne Gretzky becomes NHL's all-time leading scorer in a combined regular season playoff points. 4 assists and a 5-4 home win over Edmonton brings the total to 2011, one more than Gordie Howe.
And Wayne Gretzky, actually, his actual goal record is in danger. What's the guy? Alex Ovechkin, guy who's played forever with the Capitals now, is close to getting the goal record. But I don't think anybody ever, because in the NHL, you get a point for a goal and an assist as a player. Obviously, it only goes on the scoreboard one time. But as a player in your stats, you get a point for a goal and an assist. And Gretzky's assists are so high. I mean, he wasn't just a goal scorer. He was, he was setting everybody else up too,
Yeah.
So I don't think the great one will ever be passed on that. Was that one yours, Hollywood? Yeah, that one's yours.
Yep, your turn.
All right. In 1996, Jimmy Johnson announced as the new head coach of the Miami Dolphins. I honestly thought that would have worked more than what it did. And I guess, I don't know if he just, got tired of coaching and got out of it. But when he left, what he did with the Hurricanes and with and he was at Dallas too for a while, wasn't he?
Yeah, him and Jerry Jones were actually, I think, college roommates.
Yeah, at Arkansas.
Jerry had, of course, owned the Dallas Cowboys and hired Jimmy as head coach. And Jimmy did a great job there. I think there was kind of like an ego type thing. With,
Jerry's been known to mess up a decision or two.
2003, NBA announces Charlotte, North Carolina is awarded an NBA expansion franchise to be known as the Charlotte Bobcats and start play in 2004-2005. Eventually changes to the Charlotte Hornets for the 14-15 season. Now they're also obviously the Charlotte Hornets.
Right. And well, this was the second time they were the Hornets originally, back in the 80s or so, late 80s, when the franchise, and then it ended up going to New Orleans to make that that franchise.
Bogues and,
So the New Orleans Hornets didn't work out to us. So they changed it to the Pelicans. And then so the Hornets, when they started back, when Charlotte started back up, they were the Bobcats. And then once that franchise came back available, the Hornets, they became the Hornets again.
Oh my goodness.
It's a lot like the Browns and the Ravens, that whole saga there, and the Colts and all that stuff up in Baltimore.
Yeah, Indianapolis, Baltimore,
Listen, I put this little sheet together every week, and I don't know how I got.
Do you want me to do that one?
I'll do it.
Okay, give it a whirl.
Here we go.
I love names like that.
2015, the Hopman Cup Tennis, Perth, Poland's.
Get that call. We'll get back to this.
All right,
this might be an important call.
Let me see, where's the phone?
Oh, you're gonna need that phone.
WSME. Hi.
It is an important call.
This is important. This is live radio.
Yeah.
How's it going? Doing well. Let me pop you on the air.
While he's setting that up, if people were looked at our Facebook, they saw we got Bone Crusher calling in today.
On 1 second.
Okay.
James Bone Crusher Smith.
Awesome. There you go.
All right.
All right.
Hey, caller, are you with us?
Go ahead.
Are you with us, caller?
Yeah.
Hey, welcome to Sports Talk. This is James Bone Crusher Smith, right?
Yeah.
How you doing today, sir?
Man, it's cold in Myrtle Beach.
It's James Bones cold today, Smith, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And when it gets cold in Myrtle Beach, it's cold.
Yeah.
I have this. I have two sayings in my life. You never play poker with somebody that's named after a city, their name, and you never get in a ring with somebody that's got a nickname of Bone Crusher. How you doing, champ?
It's gonna be a knockout.
Of course, you're from Magnolia, North Carolina, originally, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, and you're calling in today to tell us about your show going on this weekend.
Oh, we got a card show in Wilmington. I'll be there. Donnell Wolf will be there, and hopefully a lot of tables. People signed up. A lot of people come in and get some autographs.
So people can get their picture with you and all that stuff too, right?
Yeah.
All right, good. Yeah, and Donnell Wolford, of course, he played it down at Clemson, All-American, and then went on to, the Bears, I think he went?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's good. You guys going to be at the show. I may try and get down there tomorrow if we don't get blizzarded in.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we just wanted to, we want you to call and kind of give the information on that. Where's the show going to be at and the time? Do you have that information? If not, I can look it up.
It's going to be at the National Guard Armory.
Okay. And what time does it start?
9 o'clock.
Tomorrow, 9:00 a.m. All right. Well, we're going to get that information out there for you, and we appreciate you calling in. I've already talked to you off the air earlier this week. We're going to line you up to do a remote show and get you as an interview show. Is that still good with you?
That's good.
All right. We'll come to Myrtle Beach, eat some crab legs, and do a show one day.
Fantastic.
All right. Well, thank you for calling in, champ.
Yes, sir.
All right. Have a good show this weekend.
Thank you.
All right. Bye. Bone Crusher Smith from Magnolia was the WBA world champion for a while, about a year or so.
Yeah.
And back then you had several different ones, WBA, WBC, but he was the WBA for I don't remember who he beat, but man, that's a big dude.
Yeah.
Were you around when they had the exhibition here? Did you go to that? Tim Foster was telling me a little bit about it. There was a principal from one of the schools. It was a pretty big guy, athletic guy, and got in the ring with him as an exhibition, of course, with the head stuff on. And I'm sure Bone Crusher weren't going 100%, but they said the guy regretted ever doing that. He said even 50% Bone Crusher was bad.
He was big, and probably still is, but he was a big dude. Just
looking at him in his prime, I saw a couple pictures. He reminded me of Marcus Jones.
Yeah, he's
that
big
same
dude.
big, just massive, big athlete type guy.
Big dude.
All right, we're gonna jump back into sports history here. Do you still want to do that one?
Here we go. 2015 Hopman Cup tennis, Perth, Poland. Aganakska, Rodmaska, and Jerzy Janawaski beat American pair Serena Williams and
That's
John
easier.
Isner. That's much better. 7-5, 6-3 to clinch the 2-1 win. Earlier, Radwanska defeats Williams 6-4, 6-7, 6-1. And there you go.
That's tennis for you, baby. A lot of them names. Tennis and ice hockey are probably the toughest names around because, especially ice hockey, there's a lot of form fights. Now there is a you were around 1980, of course, when the Miracle on Ice.
Yep.
And that was everybody watched that. No matter whether you liked hockey or not, it's because of what the magnitude of the stage. They're doing a thing this year called the Four Nations Tournament. It's United States, I think Russia, Sweden, and Finland, maybe. No, I'm sorry. It's United States, Canada, Sweden, and Finland. So they're actually pausing the NHL season because a lot of the players come from those countries. They're pausing the NFL season for a couple weeks to do that tournament. So that'll be a national type thing where maybe some more people may enjoy watching it, for country and everything. All right, in 2022 College Football National Championship at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana, number 3 Georgia beats number 1 Alabama 33-18.
And finally, in 2024, Kawhi Leonard signs a $153 million extension with the Los Angeles Clippers over the next 3 years.
Good Lord.
Wow. Money. Bob Sanders was on here. You remember Bob, of course.
I do. Great
he was
guy.
on here.
Great guy.
2 or 3 weeks ago, around Christmas and right after Christmas. And he was talking about all the aggravation and the things going on that are ruining sports. It's all about the money.
Yeah.
I mean, that NIL, they got to get a handle on that.
Well,
a kid getting $16 million to come play 1 year of college football, that's just a little little out
Well,
there
the
somehow.
NCAA opened up a can of worms and without really probably giving it much thought. And now, there's a lot of chaos without any guidelines.
Yeah.
If they had done the NIL and transfer portal with guidelines and it would have, and had some organization to it, of course, it probably, wouldn't be as bad. But right now it's just like a free for all.
And, everybody says that. Coach Sanders said the same thing, structure. If they got to have a structure to it, a cap, rules that you like, I think if you transfer portal, I think it would solve a lot of the excessive transferring by saying you sit out of here.
Yeah.
That used to be the way it was. And some of them are just transferred. Now you got the quarterback from Duke. What was it, Riley Leonard?
Yeah.
Now, obviously he's transferred into a gold mine, literally gold helmets and everything.
Yeah.
He's the quarterback, playing for the national championship at Notre Dame. But then you had the quarterback this last year for Duke. I think his name's Malik Murphy or something. Really good quarterback. And he entered the portal before their bowl game.
Yeah. Exactly.
And of course I heard they got a quarterback coming in from Tulane, but you grew up like I did. You were a Carolina fan too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. So you remember listening to the games and listeners that listen every week are like, he's talking about this again. But I got a new person here. You used to listen to games on radio. Yep. Remember Woody Durham would paint that picture for you.
Yeah.
You knew that Sam Perkins was from Latham, New York.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan's from Wilmington. James Worthy was from Gastonia. You knew all that stuff about the players, and you knew you had them players for at least 3 years because it was a hardship back then to even go early.
Yeah.
Now, man, I don't even start looking at the team until the season starts.
Yeah.
Because you don't even know who's on there.
Yeah, you don't.
It's just crazy the way there's no continuity and pride there anymore. Well, let's jump back into Northside High School. You're getting through your first years there. Anything you want to talk about the first couple of years, or we're going to jump right to
the second
the state
year,
championship
I
era?
think it was 2000. Let me see. It was 2002, 2003.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I did look it up. Northside actually won its first 2 football games. They won against Dixon and then Ashley.
Okay, yeah.
That was the
Okay,
first
that's
2
right.
games.
You're
So
right.
They're 2-0.
Yeah, you're right.
All right, but back to you, and you jumped into basketball now your second season.
Yeah, and so we anyway, that completes our first season, and in the next year, it was either the next year or the next year, we made it to the regional playoffs, which was about the 4th round, maybe. We got
in the second year.
It was second or third year.
Wow, man.
We had, it might have been the 2004. Let me think. Jerron Harper, and he was a senior that year. So when he came in 2001.
Oh, I want to question. That's awesome.
Yeah, he was
that early
sophomore.
in your
so
career.
I think it was
like
2003, 2004, which would have been the third year. We made it to the regionals. Actually, it was at Minges Coliseum, and Greenville got beat by Bunn. They had a guy, Freddie Little, that was the leading scorer in the state.
I bet Freddie Little wasn't very little, was he?
He was, he was a small guard, but he could score. He was averaging about 33 a game. We held him to 7 at halftime, and Jeff Gowdy had done a great job guarding him. And he kind of caught fire in the second half, and we ended up losing in overtime. It was a great high school game, but our kids made a tremendous effort. I look back on that team and just a tremendous group of guys. Unfortunately, 2 members on that team, Jerron Harper and AJ Kennedy, have passed, and they were good basketball players, but you know what? They were better humans. My heart breaks every time thinking about it. AJ passed this past April in an incidental drowning, and Jerron actually was the first player at Northside to earn a academic and athletic scholarship at Fayetteville State University. He went on to star at Fayetteville State in football. He's a middle linebacker, had some tryouts with some pro teams. His goal was to play in the NFL. And he had some tryouts, I think, with the Panthers and the Green Bay Packers and I think the Washington Redskins. Anyway, Jerron had been actually hired, and he was going to start in February as a U.S. Marshal.
Really?
He was 6'4", about 240, if you can get the picture, but a gentle giant. And his mother, Miss McLean, still lives in Maysville. Tremendous family, and I stay in contact with her. But my heart breaks. But Jerron actually passed away in December of 2009. He was Jerron mentored young men in a group home, and unfortunately, on the way home that night, it was on a Thursday night. He got in a car accident.
That's terrible.
And just
at that young age.
Look, you talking about a great
Especially
person. I mean,
was that
he was
helpful in the community like that?
Yeah, him and AJ in that game hit 5 threes. And I remember that. But his dad, Melvin, was on the White Oak team.
Okay.
Tremendous athlete himself.
Well, Coach, I think we got a fan calling in for you.
Okay.
You got your own fan base here. Hey, caller, who we got on the line there?
Hey, this is Robert Farley.
Hey, Robert Farley.
Robert.
Did you ever cuss Robert over the years for any call? Never, right?
Robert never missed a call.
You knew that if the call was against your team, it was right, though, right? Okay.
Absolutely.
That is not true, Tony Marshburn.
What you got for Coach, Robert?
Well, I just want to say, I kind of started officiating high school about the same time Tony started at White Oak, because we're a couple years. I think Tony might be 1 year older than me.
So he's 38, not 30.
Tony's one of the best coaches I ever worked with, JV level. And then when he went over to Northside, nothing but class. I mean, I never heard in all my 26 years of doing high school, not one of our officials say that, that guy at Northside's a butt.
Yeah.
I mean, he was always, when Tony got mad, he was probably right. But Tony didn't get mad at officials too often.
Yeah. And you've been on the show before, and we've talked about it. What's your opinion on this, Coach? I think you see these coaches just going ballistic, and our fans, I don't think you ever endear yourself to a referee by cussing him out. I just don't see that happening. And you were like Robert said, you were always a class act out there, and you were about the game, not as much about all the little details like if a call was happened to be missed or not.
Well, we had a rule. If one of my players got a technical, or if they complained about a call, they were on the bench beside me. You play the game. If you're a player, let the officials do the officiating. And, if there's a question, then, I can ask it, but it's, let them do their job. We our players and myself, we had our own jobs to do, but.
Did you ever get a technical?
I got a few in my career. No, I don't think I got a lot, but I mean, I got some.
Robert, you don't ever remember teeing up, Coach?
No.
Oh, no, not even close.
It's good y'all had that rapport together.
I do have two quick stories that I remember. Me and Gerald Marks were working together. My best friend Gerald, we were doing JV basketball, and we had one of Tony's games at White Oak. And he came over and says, "Why are you guys doing JV?" Well, Tony, you don't start at the varsity level or the college level. You move your way up. So after we did his game, I think might have been a White Oak Jacksonville game, which is always, very competitive and a little spirited, not whatever sport they play.
Yeah.
But after that game, the next day he called our booking agent, Tommy Maddox, and said, "Hey, these two guys shouldn't be doing JV basketball, Tommy. You need to move them up to the varsity level."
Wow.
So that's the kind of person Tony is.
How long after that did you get bumped up?
Oh yeah, next year we
That's
were both
awesome.
doing varsity, yeah. And between us, we've done 4 state championships, and definitely, I never hear of a coach calling. Usually when they call the supervisor, it's about a complaint, not about,
oh yeah,
hey, these guys are doing a good job, they hustle, they should be doing higher level. That just doesn't happen.
And
that's appreciated Tony for that when I got my start. And then I was doing a game at Northside. I don't remember who my partners were, but we go out. We got the coaches together before the game to do our little pregame. Well, this is when Northside's really good. I think it was the year they won the state title or the year they were runner-up. And he's playing Croatan, who was in their conference. And Cliff, the coach there, he came up to me and goes, "Robert, I want 2 technical fouls right now." And Tony looks at me, and Tony's like, "What?" He says, I don't want to sit here and watch this game. I'd rather go home and sit in the locker room." I'm like, "Cliff, if I've got to watch this game, you're going to stay here with me, buddy. I am not giving you 2 teeth. Go sit down." So that you remember that, Tony?
I do.
It reminds me of the scene from Hoosiers where the coach says, "Look, if you don't throw me out of the game, I'm gonna go off like a mad fool." He says.
And back then we didn't have the 40-point mercy rules, so we had to run the whole 32 minutes of clock. But I just wanted to call in and give Tony a shout out because he's one of the best. I'm glad he's in the Onslow County Sports Hall of Fame.
Yep, a very deserving.
One of the best coaches to ever do it. Like I say, as hard as officiating, I never heard a bad word about Tony.
Well, that's what everybody says, and if everybody's saying it, it's got to be true.
It is.
All
No
right.
doubt.
Well, thank you,
I heard he's
Robert.
a pretty good golfer too. I've only played golf with him one time.
You didn't play for money, I hope.
Long time ago. Well, appreciate you, Tony.
Thank you for calling in,
for all
Robert.
you do.
Stay warm out
You
there.
guys stay safe this weekend.
Okay. Thank you, Robert. You and Gerald.
Now talking about golf, I know you feel like to play golf a lot.
We did.
Phil loved Muni. Even when he was living up here, he'd go down and play municipal. He loved to play that golf course, didn't he?
We played a lot
Down
of
at
different
Wilmington,
courses. Van Pete and Jimmy Smith,
Yeah.
John Dennis, Tommy Gagnon, a group of us would always get together. Greg Grantham. There'd be a group of us that, we'd find a course somewhere and go play.
Yeah.
And, it was the good old days. I mean, just good camaraderie and just friendship and fellowship. But it was competitive.
Oh yeah.
None of us like to lose.
None of us like to lose.
We might play
and
for a quarter of
Would you ever get called out on a rule or something?
Well, we weren't going to cheat each other.
Everybody
we
kinda
were going to
knew,
play
yeah,
by
to
the
keep a
rules.
bit.
But here's the thing, Phil made the rules. So each time we played, we had to ask Phil, like, okay, what are rules for today?
Yeah.
It depends on what the teams were, and Van Peden and Jimmy Smith can laugh at this because, it was all in fun jest, but, it was, we played the other day. I played last week or 2 weeks ago with Van and John Dennis and Robbie and Jimmy Smith. And before we started, because I hadn't played with them in a while, and I said, okay, now what are the rules today? I said, because Phil would always say, well, we got to be fair. We got to have fair rules. And so I said, just a reminder, whatever the rules are for today, they got to be fair.
Yeah.
So I mean,
So did y'all ever do like any, like, I call it Super Bowl, Captain's Choice? You ever do anything like that, or just
I mean, we'd
play your own
mix it
sport?
up.
Yeah.
Jimmy Smith, Jimmy would always have a game for us. Whatever game we were playing that day, Jimmy. I mean, Jimmy still does.
He was
a great
he was
job.
more of the golf guy, wasn't he?
Oh, look, Jimmy can play.
Oh yeah.
He'll tell you he can't.
He
And
can.
then,
I've seen him play.
he wants to say, "Oh, my back's hurting." If he says his back's hurting, watch out.
Yeah.
That means he's going to shoot low 70s.
That means his wallet's about to get a little fatter.
Yeah.
Well, we want to take this opportunity before we get into your state championship runs there with Northside to get to the social aspect of the show. Back in the old days, you'd call it the gossip fence, maybe, where everybody met to talk. You're getting a lot of feedback. I'm gonna do mine and then let Hollywood read what's on the screen there. You got Brian Bailey says, "Tell Cuz I love him." Such a genuine guest. I mean, you remember Brian?
Oh yeah,
from
absolutely.
Southwest.
Absolutely.
Bone Crusher even chimed in. He's listening online and said, "Great show." He says, enjoy hearing us talk about everything. Coach Jonathan Bird, great choice for the show today. Yeah. The whole podcast crew's listening. Mike Irvin.
Yeah.
Irv, Steve Goodson, Dave Miller, Joey Mahowchik. Everybody says you're doing a great job and love to hear from you. They said, if you have any more, if you have that acceptance speech anywhere, they'd love to read it again because they say, it'd be good for, if you're on a long trip or something to read over. So have you got anything framed somewhere?
I tell you, I need to call Scott Smith to see if I have any available minutes left.
Well, we were talking about that on the phone. They only do it every 2 years now. So when they do the next Hall of Fame induction, if you got a little time left, we'll just start off with you up there and go from there. What you got on the screen there, Hollywood?
I'd like to call this the Freedom and Sports Talk Social Moment. Here we go. Here we go. Facebook, YouTube. Let's see. Ward Gaskin says, "Hey Tony." Jason Humphrey. "Hey Coach."
Yep.
Jonathan Bird, legendary Coach Marshburn there.
Former player.
Trevor Harden, one of the best. And then a couple people were commenting on things we talked about on the show. I'm not sure. To see Robert Thompson, Cecil Fountain, one of the best basketball coach, and Shanda Hall, one of the best.
Yeah.
So
thank
there
you.
you go.
Thank you, guys.
Giving you some shout outs up there.
Some good words. This might be the most accolades somebody's got while they're on the show.
Yeah, a very active presence on air.
Everybody
online.
loves Cuz.
Yeah. socials. Nice. Very
All
nice.
right.
Yeah, Coach Jason, Jonathan, man, just great guys. Jonathan's done an excellent, tremendous job at White.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Got them believing again.
Phenomenal. Absolutely.
3 straight conference titles. They got it rolling over there.
Great guy.
Now, he's one too that I said you don't want to play poker with somebody with the name of a city in their name. You don't want to play poker with Jonathan Bird either.
No.
He's a poker machine now. He can play.
Great guy.
You started rolling through Northside, getting a little better each year. What was your first trip to the Eastern Finals? Was it the year before the state championship, or did you get there before that?
I'm trying to think. It seems like we got there in 2014, got beat by Kinston. That's when they had Brandon Ingram.
Yeah, they had Brandon Ingram.
I had a player named Josh Crabert, had the Curry twins. I think that was the year Zach Hobbs was a freshman. I ran him at the point. Actually, Josh Crabert might have been the leading scorer in that game. We didn't, believe it or not, Brandon Ingram did his part. I mean, he was a tremendous high school player. Kinston won 4 state titles in his 4 years, but
it's like the Gurley years at Tarboro in football.
I mean, he just, obviously just a phenomenal player, but Josh, I tell you what, Josh had a great game that night. And I'll never forget a play. We were down 5 and Josh shot a 3, and it was a pretty close game throughout. And I thought he got fouled, and there was no call anyway. There was a rebound, and Zach Hobbs got the rebound. Any other game, Zach, when he caught the ball, he took one dribble like to lay it in on the offensive rebound.
Got it swipe.
Any other game, he would have scored on that play.
Yeah.
But Brandon Ingram, all 6'10" of them, came across the lane and swatted it. And of course, they go down and score, and we're down 7, and we never really recover from that. But that was the year that they had a kid at the point named Angel Lopez, and he's the one who really hurt us that game. We had the key on Brandon because the whole offense, and of course, ran through Brandon. But I had Josh guarding Brandon. I thought he did a phenomenal job. But
how tall was Josh?
Josh was about 6'3", 6'4".
And guarding 6'10" Brandon Ingram.
Yeah.
And in basketball terms, football terms, you hear the word fast and quick.
Yeah.
There's football quick and there's football fast.
Yeah.
In basketball, you hear the term, there's tall.
Yeah.
But then you hear the term long. And Brandon Ingram was long. Because his arms, it wasn't just his height.
Yeah.
Just
had about a 7-foot wingspan.
Like Sam Perkins used to be.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Now, Josh, he ended up going to UNC as a UNC football as a wide receiver under Fedora.
Yeah. Didn't he end up at Charlotte afterwards?
I don't think so. I think he stayed at Carolina
the whole time.
But anyway, that night, Angel Cabarrus it seemed like when they needed a big shot, he hit it. But that night, Kinston shot 19 free throws and made all 19.
Wow.
And that was really, I thought, the difference in the game. I mean, we shot enough free throws. We didn't make all ours, but they were 19 of 19. That's a stat that, is almost unheard of. But, of course, Perry Tyndall, Perry does an excellent job. He's still the coach at Kinston. Just a tremendous job at Kinston. And always, I knew when we played Kinston, they were going to be well coached. And they always were.
Well, they're Basketball USA, man. You've seen the article in Sports Illustrated or heard about it.
Yeah.
Per capita, there's more NBA players come from Kinston than anywhere in America.
Yeah.
Size-wise, I think it's like 1 out of every 50-some players there makes it on to the pro level. That's crazy. And I wanted to I'm glad you brought that up because Kinston's such a small town, all that success they've had. I don't believe there's ever been an NBA player from Onslow County, has there? That you recall?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not to the NBA, obviously college game.
Maybe. I know there's been some that played overseas.
Yeah, maybe in a professional league, but not the NBA as far as I know.
NBA.
But then in football, you had Marcus, you had
Quincy Monk,
you
Troy
had
Barnett.
Yeah, Barnett. You had some others. I'm sure I'm forgetting. Obviously, Ellis Dillahunt played with the Bengals, and there's probably several more that I'm just not thinking of. But so that pipeline's always been there. But it's just funny we never have quite gotten that head topper here that
Greg
was above
Cooper.
and beyond.
Did Greg play in
the NFL?
Greg,
It's possible.
If Greg's listening, he can probably call us and let us know. He might have been a backup quarterback. I can't remember. Coop,
Coop, if you're listening, give us a holler. 910-346-2248, 910-346-2248, or anybody that wants to call in and shout a word to Coach while we're talking about let's get into that year before you won the state championship, because there was an incident there involving a shot or something that was kind of squirrely, wasn't it? Or am I thinking of a different game? Well, maybe it was in the Eastern Finals, a game where it should have counted as 3, or am I thinking of something wrong?
Trying to think.
I think it's when you guys were playing at Fayetteville.
We were playing.
Now, did you actually play Southwest in the Eastern Finals one year?
We did.
In Fayetteville?
Yeah, Tommy.
So that was the year you went for the first state championship run. And
that was, I can't remember what year. Tommy Barnes was
Tommy
the head
Barnes
coach.
had a great
Tommy always
team
did
there.
a fantastic job. I mean, Tommy's guys played hard. I mean, when we played Southwest, we knew it was going to be a battle. Being in the same conference, I mean, and we drove all the way to Fayetteville, and we could have played at Northside.
Yeah,
Southwest.
that reminds me of State and East Carolina this year playing their bowl game.
Yeah.
They drive up to the frozen Annapolis, Maryland, and raining, and the day here was 70 degrees and sunny. Two teams from right here.
Yeah.
Eddie
Colson played for the Cleveland Browns.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Eddie.
And Kendrick Burney, got on with the Panthers on the travel or the practice squad, didn't, develop on up, but had some injuries, with his leg and everything. So there's been a bunch of NFL players, obviously. But let's jump into that year. You make the run to the state championship, and you guys lost in the finals the first time, right?
Let me see. Okay, we won it in 17.
Right. Let's talk about that team then.
We got beaten 18.
So you got beat the second year.
Yeah, the year in 2016, we made it to about the 3rd or 4th round. We got beat by Burlington, I think Burlington Cummings, and we had a good team that year. I had 6 sophomores. I didn't have many. I had 1 or 2 seniors, a couple juniors, and I had to make a decision. I told the coaches, I said, look. I said, I can bring up 6 sophomores. I already had Kenny Dye as a freshman, or we can keep some kids that some seniors that, I don't know how much they're going to help us. I really want to keep these sophomores and work with them for 3 years. And it paid off. Demetrius Jones was on that team, Kenny Dye. I had, like I said, 6 sophomores, Gabe Kirkendall, Jason Robinson.
Oh, and that helped for the future too.
Jacob Erickson, and Jason Mixon. They were the sophomores, but the
old baptism by fire, getting them in there early.
Yeah, and I mean, it was like a progression type thing where I brought them in their sophomore year, and
I think you got another fan on the phone, Coach.
Okay,
we're getting the most response of anybody calling in today. All right, who we got on the line there? Hello, caller. Hello, caller.
Hey.
Who we got there?
Brian Bailey.
Brian Bailey, little Brian Bailey.
Yeah.
Calling in from hard at work somewhere, I'm sure. What you got for Coach today?
How you doing, Brian?
Hey, cuz, what's going on, man?
Not much.
I wanted to take you back down memory lane real quick. You had a situation once where you were able to play against the ACC All-Stars at Jacksonville High School. You remember that game?
Yep.
I can't remember how old I was, but I remember on that day or that night, you drove the paint, jumped up in the air, did a little pass between your legs to yourself, and split between Matt Doherty and Sam Perkins, and finger rolled that ball into the basket.
Unbelievable.
That's one of the highlights.
Did all that really happen?
What a great memory, Brian.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean he drove the paint in between the 2 towers and just finger rolled it up to the basket, and I'm like, I got to tell that story.
Right now, Coach is sitting here going, man, I thought I just dreamed all that.
Well, Brian, were my eyes open or were they shut?
I can actually tell you were at the basket closest to the doors at Jacksonville High School.
Yeah.
And I do remember that because I was sitting on that end.
Wow.
And it was the same night that Benji Taylor was there and signed an autograph. And I actually received every autograph from every player in the ACC that night except for Anthony Teachy. He wouldn't sign anything.
Wow.
Well, that was rude of him.
From Goldsboro.
Rude.
Yeah, but I remember that, and I said, I gotta tell that story.
Well, thank you for
That's
calling in,
awesome.
Brian.
Thank you, Brian. What a great memory. Wow.
So,
Well,
look, it's good to hear you talk today, man. You're genuine as I remember as my 8th grade North Carolina history teacher, and I enjoyed being the manager of the baseball team you coached when we played against Chad Farmville at Tabernacle.
Yep.
And just remember those good old days of August and JV football.
Absolutely. Those are great years, weren't they, Brian?
Yeah, and hearing the famous lie, if we do it right this time, we won't do it again, which you knew weren't going to happen. You were going to do it again.
Yeah. That's how you get better.
Yeah. Great years. Great years. You guys, man, y'all, Coach Paget, me were young coaches back then. And man, what great years. What great years. You guys were awesome.
And just we need to get together sometime, when got more time to talk. I know this is radio time, but just to relive, just take us down memory lane.
Hey, I'd love to.
We'll go eat some barbecue somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you for calling in, Brian. Keep safe and keep warm out there.
I will, sir. I'm heading back from Kenansville right now.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Take care. Have a good
Take
weekend.
care.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Let's jump right to that state championship. What a magical run you guys had. I don't recall. I mean, I know that was the first basketball state championship in Onslow County history, right?
Well,
men's basketball. I can't remember if one of the girls' team won.
Back in the late 40s, maybe early 50s.
You remember back that far?
No, I don't. I wasn't born yet. But a team from Camp Lejeune, because I think they were honored at the Sports Hall of Fame the year before the last induction before my induction this past April.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
I think it was, I'm not sure. I tried to look up the information and I went to the High School Athletic Association website. I've asked, I figured if Mike Smith, if anybody knew what Mike Smith or AD was living, I said, if anybody knew, and Mike didn't really have the answer, but I think based on the information with the high school, with the sports commission, because I think that team was inducted, or one of the players.
I have to get with Scott Smith and see about that.
Yeah,
get the little dossier on that
they
team.
won. It was like a Class B state championship.
Okay. Now I know Lejeune did win a Division II state football championship. A lot of people don't remember that. It was either late 70s or early 80s.
I remember that.
Because used to back then they didn't subdivide.
Right.
They just, technically it was subdivided.
It was subdivided, yeah.
You would have the ones that were in the state championship. Then you had like the second tier group, and they won that state championship doing that. So that's a little known fact there that they might have been the first in Onslow County to win the football championship. But other than that, I don't recall. Certainly in modern times, we had some teams that had some great runs, but you guys were the master of getting there. And who did you guys beat in the state championship that year?
North Surrey.
North Surrey.
They had two really good players.
Andy Griffith land up there.
Yeah. They, I was able to get scouting reports from some friends that live in that area, in the western part of the state. And, all the scouting reports were just, hey, they got a good team, but they got two really exceptional players, the point guard and a wing, and Carter Phillips, and a Mason Hawk. Mason was a point guard. He was incredible. He was very crafty, and, he would draw fouls, get you leaning. So we had to really work on that in practice to be ready for his little antics, because he was skilled. He was skilled and he was crafty, and Carter was just a talent. He was about a 6'4" wing player that could shoot the three, drive it to the basket, pull up jumper, good free throw shooter. Just a very good player. But, that year, it's like I told my team, and I told them this in the beginning, and because I just felt like I'd had these kids for a while now. It was going to be the Zach Hobbs senior year. It was going to be the 6 sophomores, going to be their junior year. And I felt like that, we had a good group.
That was the year to make the run.
Well, I tell you what, the thing I remember most about this group is they were good guys, The thing about it was they didn't care who scored the points. Probably one of the most unselfish groups I've ever been around in all my years of coaching. I've coached some good teams and some good players, great teams and great players. But there was something about this group that it didn't matter who got the credit. They just wanted to win.
They just want to win.
And I told them, I said, it takes a special group. I told them this in the very beginning. It takes a special group to get to the special game.
Yeah.
And I said, the special game obviously is where we're all trying to get to that state championship game. And I thought the year before I said, I'm playing all these sophomores. And I said, they're getting playing time. They're getting experience. And I just had a good feeling at the end of that year. I felt like when we played Burlington Cummins, I think we lost by 2 or 3 points. The game could have went either way at the end.
What year was that?
That would have been 2016
roughly?
Yes, 15, 16.
Okay.
15, 16. And but it was just, but the next year I just felt good because I had so many players back. I just had a great feeling. But you got to keep in mind, you're still in the same classification with Kinston, Farmville Central. Green Central at the time was the number 1 team in the East. They had a big 6'8" kid who got a scholarship at UNC Wilmington. His name was Amaji Dodd. Then he had a 6'6" guy named Pigford, and they had 3 good quick guards. Well, look,
that's a lot of size for small basketball. Yeah,
Amaji from block to block, and even the elbow jumper, say 10-foot jumper on in, he was very good and very consistent. He could face up, or he could play with his back to the back. He was agile. He was mobile, agile. I don't think he was hostile, but anyway.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
But anyway,
we watched the same movies.
Look,
apparently,
they had a kid named Pigford, about 6'6", who could jump out of the gym, and I just said, "Man, this guy worries me," because I said we can double Amaji.
Yeah,
I said, but Pigford, he wasn't going to beat us off a jump shot.
Well, and how many times have you seen that though? Like you're getting ready to talk about.
Yeah.
Like keying on Todd Gurley, and then another one steps up to fill in the void.
Yeah.
Now tell us about the other kid there.
And well, Pigford, I just said, if we got to keep him off the boards,
Mm-hmm.
because look, his forte is dunking, and he's a highlight film. On a miss, each game I went to, it seemed like their whole fan base, everybody from Snow Hill was waiting for him to just throw one back on a putback. So anyway, I mean, he could get elbows above the rim. He could get up. In other words, he could climb the ladder. But anyway, I made an assignment. I said, Mike Satterfield, I said, Mike, you got Pickford. Whatever you do, do not leave Pickford. If he goes to the bench, just run over there. Don't sit on their bench, but just
stand
make sure he doesn't come
him.
back in. And we had our game plan. We're doubling Amaji Dodd. And I mean, they're big, but we're not very big, but we're fast. We're athletic. We pass the ball really well. We ran a simple offense, probably about the simplest offense a high school coach could possibly put in. We had options off. I had 5 plays, and each play had 3 options. But we ran what we call our motion offense, which was a basic type. And I added some layers to it. I started out with the basic layer their sophomore year, added a couple more layers their junior year. And by the time they were seniors, we had a few more layers in. But it was basically the same offense. Well, we get off to a great start because I said, look, we need to jump on these guys. We're playing at Fayetteville State University. It's going to be a packed house. We're going to have a tremendous crowd there. They're going to have all 800 people from Snow Hill there. And I said,
the whole town shut down. Probably.
I mean, it's going to be a great game. They're number 1 in the East. We're number 2. The winner goes to the state championship. Anyway, we're in control. We're playing assignment basketball. Every time Amaji Dodd touches it, we double down from the top. We don't double from the weak side or the strong side because they had shooters in the corners. I said, we're going to double from the top. And actually our defensive coach, Scott Barton, who's a tremendous coach. Wow. What a tremendous coach. I mean, he came from Pennsylvania and had a successful career there, but I had an excellent staff with, Scott Barton, Al Hobbs, Patrick Clark, Rick Hammonds, Coach Pollock, Seneca Hill. We all chipped in and did our part.
And that's a big help, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
It's
absolutely.
like when
Absolutely.
I remember Coach Padgett saying when he first started out, it was him and Ed Wall.
Yeah.
And then when he became coach, it was him and maybe another couple of others, and him and obviously Tommy Barnes and something.
Yeah.
And he just kept adding that staff until he got to where you're not having one coach having to do everything. And
right.
So your staff, I remember you gave a lot of credit to him at the
absolutely.
your induction ceremony.
Look, we wouldn't accomplished anything without those coaches. But Patrick Clark and he's at White Oak and does an excellent job. And Seneca Hill, I'd coached both those guys at White Oak, and of course I'd asked him to come join our staff at Northside. Well, anyway, so we're controlling the game and we're playing assignment basketball. We've limited pretty much. We didn't want Amaji Dodd to have 30 points, 20 rebounds, which he was capable of doing because he had done it before. We were trying to maybe cut those numbers in half.
Make somebody else.
And he ended up with 15 points and 12 or 13 rebounds. So we felt like we did the job on him. We were in control, and a guard drives from the right side, and Mike, who had told not to leave Pickford, just probably had one of those moments where he's so used to playing help side defense, guards penetrating. He leaves Pickford. The guy throws the alley-oop. Pickford goes off 6'6" above the rim and just throws it down. And
the
like
crowd
I said,
goes wild.
everybody went berserk except our fans and me. I'm running down the court calling timeout. And anyway, I tell the team, I go, we got to stick to assignment basketball, and da-da-da. And anyway, everything was fine. We were up 5 points at halftime. I go in the locker room. I talk with Coach Barton and the coaches, and I go, look, I feel like we don't need to change anything. I feel like that our game plan is where it needs to be. I said, right now, what we're battling is momentum. Because we had momentum, and then when Pickford got to dunk, they got momentum.
Yeah.
And so they took momentum into halftime. And I told the players, I said, look, we got to do something to get the momentum back.
Well, it's almost good sometimes to have that halftime.
Yeah.
Maybe you can let them cool off a little bit.
But I told them, I said, look, I went in there very confident to them, just saying, hey, we're not changing anything. You guys have done a great job. I said, right now, they got momentum. We got to get it back. So we come out after halftime, this third quarter, the game started. Well, they scored the first 3 points. They still got momentum. Okay, so we turn the ball over or miss a shot, and they come down and miss a shot. Demetrius Jones gets the rebound in the corner, kicks it over to Zach Hobbs up the floor. We're on break. Zach pulls up and hits a three.
Boom.
Boom. And they come down the court. We steal the ball. Gabe Kirkendall passes to Zach on the wing, pump fakes. The guy runs by him from Green Central. Zach pump fakes at the three-point line, nails another three. So all of a sudden, we go from 2 up now. Now we got momentum.
Yeah.
We go on a 16-0 run.
Wow.
Ball game.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, man, ball game.
All of a sudden, you score 2 touchdowns.
Look, they hadn't been down like that or scored on like that all year long. They came in with 1 loss. They lost in the conference tournament to Goldsboro. And that's who we played in the first round, Goldsboro. That's where Russell Stevens was at the time. And Russell always did an excellent job coaching as well. But, you're talking about a euphoria type. I mean, your dream has always been for your players and your coaches to have the opportunity to play for a state championship. It's something you dream about. It's something you pray for. It's just something that you work for, preparation. And
now you guys, was it a close game against North Surrey in the title game?
We were up 5 or 7 at halftime. And then, it was never a blowout.
Yeah.
We ended up winning, I think, 87-60 or 86-67, something like that.
Major free throws at the end, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, we played, that was probably one of our most complete games.
Hey, that's a good time to have it.
It was Zach Hobbs, we went in halftime, of course, their game plan, and like I knew it, the opponent's game plan was to stop Kenny Dyer, point guard, and Zach Hobbs.
Yeah.
Zach Hobbs was the leading scorer on our team, and Kenny was he was the facilitator. Kenny was a type of player, and he's playing overseas right now in Bulgaria professionally. Great guy. But Kenny was a type of player, if as a point guard, he was a type of point guard you wanted. The last thing Kenny thought about was his own shot.
Yeah.
He wanted you to score. He wanted Hollywood to score. He wanted everybody
He
to score.
set the plate for everybody
He
else.
wanted, he just wanted to be this facilitator. And, but still he was a guy that teams knew they had to stop because he was, our offense was efficient because Kenny could just, he would hit the shooter at the right spot at the right time. He could make the correct pass. He could feed the post with the correct pass. Just a great decision maker. And by the way, Kenny was a 4.0 plus student at Northside, just like Zach Hobbs was, along with
when you got your team general, that helps to have.
I tell you what. Well, here's the thing I will say. In addition to those players on that team, Zach Hobbs was he was a senior that year. He was considered our leader. When your leader is your hardest worker or one of your hardest workers and doesn't take days off, you're very grateful and very thankful. I've seen players before, best players on teams that didn't work hard in practice. I don't know if they ever reached their full potential. But when your best player or one of your best players or your top players are your hardest workers in practice, you're on to something. And let me say this about that group and the coaches, if they're shaking their head right now if they're listening. There were times, because we had a system, and we'd work offense and then we'd work 30 minutes defense. We'd do our fast break deal to start practice. Everything was timed. You either won or lost on everything we did in practice. You were a winner or loser, and if you lost, you got on the baseline. If you won, then you went and got water or rested while but there was a winner and a loser. Well, we had a competitive group. And when we went offense versus defense, there were times I looked over at Coach Barton and I said, look, we need a break because we got a game tomorrow night.
These guys are going to tear each other down.
Look, they got after it, but that's how competitive this group was against each other. And some of our best games were probably in practice, but phenomenal group. It's one of those things that, you look back, and I told those guys, I said, I kept reminding them it takes a special group, because there was one night, and I know they remember, because we had a tough playoff run. We started out with Goldsboro, and I can't remember.
Kind of a grind on it.
Look, we ended up playing. We had to play Clinton, who was a number 3 seeded team in the East. Okay, there was Green Central, Northside, and Clinton, the top 3 teams in the East. Okay, so we ended up playing because a 2 seed played to 3, the 1 played to 4.
Yeah.
And so Fairmont was, I think, number 5 seed, and we'd never beaten Fairmont. We always lost to them in Fayetteville twice. Anyway, I reminded the guys, we were getting ready to play Fairmont, and we were having a pretty good practice. Well, I knew the history between us and Fairmont. And I think these guys were, we'd won the second round game, first round game. They're pretty tight games and pretty loose games. And anyway, about 3/4 of the way through practice, I just didn't feel the energy and the urge like we got a big game tomorrow night. And I didn't want them too hyped the day before the game, but I wanted focus. And I remember I kicked them out of the gym. I said, look, you guys aren't focused. You don't understand. I said, in the locker room, they knew when they got to the locker room, there was an issue. And I brought it to their attention. I said, guys, look, I've told you all year long that it takes a special group to get to the special game. I said, in my heart, you are a special group. I said, but you hadn't got to the special game yet. And I said, you cannot take a day off in practice. You cannot take time off in practice. And they weren't goofing off or anything. I just didn't see the focus I thought we needed. And I let them know. I said, you know what? I said, you know what? And I don't know if I ever told another group. I said, you guys are good enough to win a state championship. I said, don't blow your chance. I said, you're good enough. And I said, I'm going to walk out of this locker room. I said, I'll put my jacket on and go home if you think we don't need to practice anymore. And they flew out of the locker room, got back in the gym, and we probably had the best 30 minutes of practice. And I said, it's enough.
Yep.
I knew we were ready. And sure enough, we were ready
Got
for,
their
and we
minds
had
back
to be
in.
ready for Fairmont because they brought 5 bus loads of fans to our gym that night.
I didn't know there was that many people in Fairmont.
Look, it was a great game. And and then we had to play Clinton. They were good enough to win a state championship that year. And look, we had to beat them. They were up at, that was one of the few games that we trailed at halftime. And I made an adjustment, and they were doubling. They would switch zones. They would go 2-3 and 1-3-1. So anywhere I put Zach, they would double.
Okay.
So they weren't going to let Zach beat them. So I said, okay, coaches, here's what we're going to do. We're going to move Zach to the point. We're going to put Kenny on the wing. And I brought in a guy off the bench, Jason Robinson. He's an assistant at Northside now. And I said, we're going to put Jason on the right wing. That's his favorite shot over there. If they're going to double Zach from the top, then of course that's going to leave that wing wide open. And they probably don't know Jason. I said, because he's a guy that comes off the bench. He's not a starter.
Yeah.
So sure enough, and Jason, he could shoot, but he was one of those guys, sometimes he'd be hesitant. And I remember telling him I said, look, I'm putting you in for one reason.
Shoot
the basketball. You're going to be wide open on the right wing when we get the ball back. And we trailed pretty much the whole game. And this was third quarter now.
Yeah.
Okay. And I said, you're going to be open. I said, don't think about shooting. I said, you shoot. I said, if you don't shoot, I was thinking to myself, if he don't shoot, he's coming out. He better shoot it. So anyway, he got my message before he went in. I'm putting him in to shoot the 3. So sure enough, we come down, we get the ball. They double team Zach, pass it over to Jason. Bam, he nails the 3. Okay, we hold him on defense, come back down. Zach's at the point. They double Zach again, pass it back over to Jason. Bam, he hits another 3. And all of a sudden, we got the lead and we got momentum. And I'll never forget, I think on the next possession, we got the ball inside on a missed shot. Jason Mixon got the offensive rebound, about a 6'2", 6'3" kid, and took like a power bounce and went up and just soared and hammered it and threw it down off a dunk.
The crowd went wild.
And look, it was pretty much at that point, we deflated them so much, and they never recovered.
Well, you see it a lot when you see state championship runs at whatever sport. There's always that one game in the playoffs. It's not necessarily a trap game, but a game like I remember, the first year Coach Padgett took, a team to state championship game, lost to High Point Central, but man, they were down to Wallace Rose Hill by,
East Duplin,
15
Wallace Rose
points
Hill, Clinton,
in the fourth quarter. And, all of a sudden he does a double reverse halfback pass and you get that momentum. And I tell people this all the time. I think I even invented this. If you leave early, you never see a miracle finish.
There you go.
Your team can be getting the break speed off them. The Houston Oilers that year, I think they're beating Buffalo.
Yeah.
Just killing them.
Yeah.
They're up 30-some points in the second half in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And Frank Reich leads a miracle comeback. If you left early, you don't see that. Now, granted, most times when your team gets beat like that, you're not going to have that miracle comeback.
Yeah.
But if you leave early, you'll never see it.
Yeah. But, you're talking about great moments. That team went 30-0.
The state championship team didn't lose a single game.
No. Our closest game that year was against Jacksonville. That was the only single-digit win we had that year. Everything else was a double-digit.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, Jacksonville. That was, and look, Jacksonville. It was always.
Was that over the Birdcage?
Actually, it was at our place, and had a kid come off the bench, Colin Ratcliffe, and kind of lifted us that game because we didn't hit anything. Jacksonville, being coached by Doug Ernie, who did a super job always. Doug was at Lejeune, went over to Jacksonville, but they just, it was just one of those games where I felt fortunate to win because they played really well and we didn't play as well. But anyway,
Hollywood's headed to lunch. He'll be back at noon. We'll be here.
I was just joking. This is great. Listen, we still have. I know we got a ton of listeners, a ton of people watching.
Oh yeah.
Go on, man.
Do we need to take a break or?
We're okay.
Okay, we're good. Well, I think we're getting close there.
Look, I mean, we've only been here 2 hours.
It's only 2 hours. The record show.
5 years since the show started with Phil.
So you own 3 records now. The first state championship basketball coach, boys basketball in Onslow County. Longest acceptance speech at the JOSC Hall of Fame induction, and the longest show. So we'll just keep right on rolling. Now, I do want to mention that again, talking about the JOSC. I want to get that out there again one more time before we go, about that event that was supposed to be tomorrow. What was it? The run of the bridge. Here it goes. Yeah. The Beat the Bridge has been postponed until February 9th. So the Jacksonville Onslow Sports Commission Beat the Bridge has been postponed until February 9th due to inclement weather. And I wouldn't want to be out there running tomorrow, even if it didn't snow. All runners should receive an email with instructions. If not, go to playjosc.com. I'm sure they'll have some more information on there too. And I did get a text in the middle, actually from my dad, who keeps me on task sometimes when he's listening. I feel we got to mention the change of coach at Southwest. New football coach Zach Garvey was named football coach this week. Elbert Garvey's son. Zach was JV coach and for 3 or 4 years, and moving up as the varsity coach. Of course, Charlie Dempsey's stepping down and going in the private sector.
I heard
he got a great opportunity. I'm so happy for him and his family. As far as
Charlie,
it's good for their situation, and it'll get him home more once he gets through the first. Every job you start, you got a little training period where you're gone a little more, but once he's through that, from what I understand, he's going to be working from home more, and with his kid growing up, that'd be great for him, and we're really happy for him. Congratulations to Zach Garvey on being named the head football coach at Southwest. Years ago, they moved a JV coach up that worked out pretty good.
Yeah.
So, we're hoping this one will be the same way, and looking forward to working with Coach Garvey and the team next year, and just
Zach could do a great job. His mom coached at Dixon, and Elbert coached at Dixon as well, and both very good coaches. Yep. So it's in his blood.
Elbert
and he's a Southwest graduate. So I mean,
now Elbert took a Dixon team pretty far.
He did.
Was it to the state championship game or the Eastern Finals?
I mean,
it was one or the other. I remember.
Yeah, it was. We played them that year. In fact, when I was at White Oak, we had Quincy Monk in that group and made it to the. We made it pretty deep in the state playoffs.
Yeah.
With Michael Purvis, Torvis Williams, Quincy Monk, Justin Brewer, and some of those guys.
Some athletes, buddy.
Yeah. And we played Dixon, and Dixon was one. We didn't have many losses. We had 2 or 3 losses that year, and Dixon they beat us.
Yeah.
They had a very good team.
They had a great team, especially at the time. I can't remember if they were 1A or 2A level. Do you remember?
I'm
pretty sure they were 2A.
I think they were.
Yeah.
Who? But
okay, we're gonna take a break and do we do have to do a station identification real quick. We'll be right back.
Okay. But they had the
WSME Camp Lejeune, W246CJ Jacksonville.
First Sons.
All right, we're right back. We just had to get that station. You used to hear it on TV all the time. Stand by for station identification. The FCC would shut us down if we didn't get it in every now and then.
Can I interject something? I meant to say this way earlier, but I want to do a shout out to 2 guys that when we first opened Northside, Randy Baisden and Rick Hammonds. We pretty much, were the coaches, basketball coaches, and without those 2 guys, when we first started, we look. I depended on Randy and Rick so much, and I should have said this when we were first talking about the first years at Northside, but those 2 guys, Basin from Richlands and Rick's, we coached JV basketball together at White Oak, and I asked Rick to come over and help, and Rick was there the whole time from start to finish, and just so thankful for your help, Basin, if you're listening, and appreciate all the coaches and the time spent and the work with the players.
Well, it's so cool to take it from inception of the school to as far as you did, man. That's just a great job you did there with the program. Now, who was the coach right after you?
Scott Barton, one of my assistants, he did it for 1 year.
Oh.
And then Kendrick Hall, I think he's from Beulahville. He did it for 2 or 3 years. And now Tim Foster.
And of course, the story where Tim started out, got thrown into the fire at the ECI over the summer.
Yeah.
You know, he was roaming the halls as assistant principal. So said, hey, if you're going to be hanging around here, might as well go coach basketball. So they worked that deal out where he's coaching the team now. And they're up and coming this year. You know, got the team going. I was going to look at some of the standings too.
I think they're 5-6 or.
Yeah. I was going to look at some of the standings and some of the.
They finished third in the county tournament.
Yeah. The only team they lost to was Swansboro.
And they've won 4.
So the 2 teams that finished second, third, the only loss they had were the Swansboro.
We won the very first. This is a part of history. We won the very first Onslow County tip-off tournament at White Oak High School.
Was that kind of like what the Christmas tournament is now?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Okay.
But we ended up winning the first. We beat Richlands on a last-second shot. Joe Womack saved the ball from out of bounds, tossed it to Tavares Blunt. Tavares laid it in with 1 second to play. It was a tie game, and we won at the buzzer.
Man, buzzer beaters are awesome, aren't they?
Yeah. That's when they had Steve King was a head coach. Actually, man, you know about a really good coach. Coach Steve King. He had, you know.
Now, him and Bob were related, right?
They're
Steve
brothers.
And Bob, yeah, that's what I thought.
But, you know, anytime we played, it was a battle.
Yeah.
But it was a great, I mean, you're talking about the first tournament. Man, you're talking about, I mean, it was a packed house. And, I mean, just, which, you know, all of them have been. But, you know, just that's the part I miss.
Yeah.
That's the part of coaching that, you know, I just go, you know.
Ooh, you missed all them Greenville trips too, man.
I miss being around the players. I miss the coaching, the teaching part.
Yeah.
But, you know, the friendships, it's kind of like way back when, you know, when we talk about when I first started out at Southwest, I wasn't very old. And, you know, and now it's like, the players that I coach, when I run across, you know, I may see one across town, I go, you know, these are grown men now.
These are guys coaching.
These are guys playing in their 50s now.
Yeah,
you know
some of them are out coaching and doing the same thing.
Man, those guys are old.
Yeah. And I'm thinking,
man, you got old.
But, you know, you miss it. But, you know, I look back and I go, I thank God that, you know, I had the opportunity and just to be able to coach for as long as I did. That was almost taken away in 2012. I'm laying on the ground having a heart attack, and I was at basketball practice. And I really didn't know if it was going to be my last breath or not. But the good Lord spared me. And I realized then that, you know, God put me here on earth for a reason. And I was fortunate to coach for so long, so many outstanding players. And just changed my life, really.
Yeah.
Because it made me realize that it's not always about winning and losing as much as I wanted to win and the players to win. It was about the opportunity that God had given me to coach young men and be a part of something special, especially here in Onslow County. And
when you look at some of those guys that you help mold and what they're doing nowadays, that makes it worth it, don't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, I look back at so many former players that have made their own impact on society and our community and other places they live. And I just, you know, for me to be a part of their lives, to me, is inspiring to me. Hopefully I said something or taught them something to inspire them. But in the same breath, there was a lot players did that inspired me: effort, attitudes, you know, relentless effort, you know, just and really just, you know, without the teamwork, the chemistry and the attitudes of the players, you know, I'm so grateful for that. Cause, you know, I was tough on a lot of players. You know, it was, and I think players understand now, and I'm sure Coach Padgett and a lot of other coaches are the same way. I pushed players so hard because I wanted them to be the best they could be. I wanted us to be the best we could be. And I look at some coaches like Jonathan Bird and that I coached, and I see what he's doing and what he's done, and Patrick Clark and other coaches that are now coaching that I've coached, and I go, you know, I pushed them pretty daggone hard, almost to the point where I know they probably hated my guts at the time, but the bottom line is I wanted them to be their best. And that's why I pushed so hard. I felt like if a kid wasn't pushed, he would never know his potential. And my goal was to help make them the best they could be, the best player and the best person.
Best person's a
and
big
that
part
was
of
my
it, yeah.
goal.
There's so many coaches that miss out on that part of it, just looking at X's and O's and wins and losses. But to make those kids, and I think it runs hand in hand. When you make those kids the best kids they can be and the best men you can be, you get the best out of them players wise.
Absolutely.
Well, man, I thank you so much for being with us
Chris
today.
Hollywood, man.
You're
thank
welcome
you
to come
guys.
anytime. If you ever, I know you don't have Facebook, but if you ever hear a guest we got that you want to come on and be part of it, like co-host or something,
Hey, just let me know.
like I said, after you're on twice, you co-host at it.
Okay.
So,
Just let me know.
And one of these days, if I have to be out lame or something, I'll give you a call and you can come host it. But we do want to thank you for coming and great things you did there at Northside, and we'll have you back again sometime. Do it
Hey,
again.
I'd love to.
All right.
You
Before we
guys-
go, we do want to thank our sponsors, National Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram, Onslow County Motor Company, Fountain Management, Miss Sandra Fountain, Bartley Insurance Services, Bill Mercer, Humphrey Heating and Air Conditioning, Lane Associates Family Dentistry, Doctors Tommy and Kim Morgan. Once again, keeping the Morgan family in our thoughts and prayers with the passing of Ken Morgan this past week.
Absolutely.
Make sure you look out for them. Jones Onslow EMC, Jones Onslow EMC, your Touchstone Energy Cooperative, Southern Touch Painting, and Barnes Diamond Gallery. Thanks once again to Helen's Kitchen and Billy Grissett for our delicious Billy Bowls we're getting ready to dive into. Hurricane Watch was powered by Downey's Heating and Air Conditioning, Jason Humphrey. And that's a wrap for Sports Talk. We're headed into the lunch hour. Oh, we have something else.
Yes, I've got to talk about one thing that's happening tomorrow.
Tell us, baby.
We are going to be on location, the Freedom Prize Patrol. So I got to tell you about this. Regardless of the weather, this is going to be happening, and we want you to come on out and check it out. It's the 56th annual, 52 years, Coach, they've been doing this, the Trenton Volunteer Fire Department EMS annual farm equipment general auction at the Jones County Fairground, and this all benefits and helps out the fire department EMS, fund what they do, saving lives and helping out the community there, being prepared right there in the community. So it starts at 8:30 tomorrow morning. And you just come on out. They're going to have if you're in the market, farmers for farm equipment, tractors, plows, harvesters, combines, trailers, sprayers, and much, much more. They'll have seven auctioneers on site for all that stuff. And not just farm equipment, but cars, boats, campers, tools, furnitures. And they also have a flea market. People come in from all over the place. And
where's that at again?
This is in Trenton.
Oh, yeah. The thing they have every year.
Yeah,
there,
52
at the
years,
Civic
man.
Center there, right?
No, the fairground.
Oh, is it the fairgrounds?
Yeah,
Okay.
the fairground. So, but the flea market is just amazing. Like we have, I live in Morehead City, so we have the little Newport flea market there. This is like 100 times, 1,000 times that. So yeah, you'll find a little treasure, I promise, if you come out and check it out. And they got, they also have a homemade bake sale and country cooking. Man, Chris, you would love this. Like on site, they've got barbecue, big pig cooker, and the chicken. They cook it all there on site. And they got the plates there, tons of people in attendance. We will be there from 11 until 1. There's a little building.
Have to show up for that.
You got to come out, man. There's a little building there that do all the transactions there in the building when they sell stuff. We're right there from 11 to 1, some T-shirts, all kinds of stuff. So more information, call this number, 252-571-4828, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. Just drive it slow by, 9 or 10 o'clock. Hopefully things will unthaw, and you'll be hanging out with us tomorrow in Trenton. So there you go.
If the blizzard abates, I'll be there tomorrow.
All right, buddy.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
You had me at chicken and barbecue.
Yeah, man. Look, it's right there. They cook it. They got the big cooker right there. It's awesome.
And flea market, because it's true. One man's junk is another man's treasure, baby.
And listen, and people come in from like out of state, to bring their stuff in to sell there. And yeah, it's awesome. It's like the Disney of flea markets, buddy.
That's nice.
So
a monster flea market.
yeah, that's it.
Well, thank you again, Coach, for being with us.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Hollywood,
We've thoroughly
awesome.
enjoyed it.
It was great.
We'll see you guys. We have the Jacksonville Onslow Sports Commission crowd coming in next Friday for Sports Talk to talk about now the event that got postponed and some other events. So we'll see you next week on Sports Talk.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time and switch to the expensive shampoo with amino acids. Sure, you don't know what those are or why you need them, but it sounds very impressive. And if you switch and save hundreds, you can massage it into your scalp every day. Now, if only you can